As 1986 begins over in the World Wrestling Federation, another hillbilly, Cousin Luke, is joining Elmer and Hillbilly Jim. Hulk Hogan recently defended his title against Terry Funk in a match tape for Saturday night's main event. Wyndham and Rotunda getting ready to challenge Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch for the tag titles. Everyone's still doing the Land of a Thousand Dances from the wrestling album, but over in Jim Crocker Promotions, which would become World Championship Wrestling, our guests were the current reigning NWA World Tag Champs. They just vanquished the Evil Russians and are about to embark on a feud that would set the company on fire with Jim Cornette's Midnight Express. Our guests for this edition, Ricky and Robert. And this is the first time I think I've ever seen you guys on camera where it's not accompanied with deafening screaming coming out of the speakers of my childhood television.
Right. Well, I guess we got a little older.
What's that? A little over or older?
Older.
Oh, no.
But, you know, man, it's great. Thank you very much. It's a great compliment. We, you know, over our years, we had our share. First of all, you had to get to know Ole. And you understand me. I mean, when you first meet Ole, you know, Ole, you know, he don't like anything. You know, when I first met him, I said, bro, you don't even like ice cream.
I don't even think he likes himself.
You know what I'm saying? Just but that was Ole, and understand me, Ole broke into business up in Minnesota, I think through Vern Gagne's camp, I believe, and don't take my word for that, but you got to understand it was a lot different, a lot rougher. You know, when you got all these shooters up there, they're stretching you and they're fighting you, and Ole's free. And you know, Ole, you know, him and his buddy broke into business together. I don't know if you knew that they wrestled at the University of Minnesota. Did you know this?
No.
Okay, and they were real, and his friend was real tough, but Ole then, and as you set your way through that, you know, and when Ole come down, after he's been in the business a few years, you know, and you got to realize, you know, I've seen 4 different generations of wrestling, decades, how you want to put it, 40 years of that, you know, and you got to go with the flow, and Ole took him a while to go with the flow.
But he doesn't seem like a guy that you could object to what direction he was giving you. Some bookers, I'm sure, were more open to ideas, your ideas. He doesn't seem the type that would have been.
Well, back in that time, we didn't really throw any ideas in.
No, it was a booker's thing. But see, Ole, you know, it was his way or the highway. And I can tell you, for instance, you know, Ole, when he first came back into the NWA to work with Robert and I, you know, he really didn't want to work with us because he thought it was bad because we were too small. You know, we're not going to draw no money with you. Then we did an angle with them. And we sold out and broke records everywhere we went. But then it kind of changed his mind a little bit. You know, and it's like I was saying, you know, after me being in the business all the time, I went with the flow. Because, you know, you can't change it. You can't fight City Hall.
Right.
But Ole, you know, he was there bucking it his way. And he was, you know, sometimes he was hard to do business with, buddy. I mean,
Ole wasn't booking at the time, but you certainly worked for him when he was booking. What did you think about his ideas? Was he a creative guy?
Oh yeah, he's a creative guy because, you know, I've worked under Ole when he was a booker before, back when it was Georgia Championship Wrestling. You know, I went in for the Crockett's before, and when he was a booker there in my early years. Yeah, he was a creative guy, but you know, the angles he did were more like real things. You understand me? Like the way he wanted you to work in the ring was like you was more amateur wrestling, not as much
competition-based
angles. Not as much high spots as you want to do that, which was cool. But you know, it was ground thing. You know, like, you know, Ole, he was famous. You know, him and Gene both back before, you know, was working the arm or the leg. They worked at one body part the whole match.
Right.
And that was his style of going. Yes, he had a lot of creative. You know, man, matter of fact, you know, Georgia Championship Wrestling, he really made Tommy rich, really.
Right.
There.
Sure.
He sure did, you know, and it was a lot of his and if you notice the things he did with Tommy, it wasn't like outrageous baby face spot things, with the a bionic elbow. It was
Right.
wrestling.
And believable in the way
Yes.
he did it with Tommy. Today they would put him in and he'd squash somebody in 8 seconds to try and get him over, but he did the opposite. He had him lose.
Yes.
But he lost by less and less time each time. So the people, it's like watching your favorite home team that might win the big one someday.
That's what happened.
Got people invested in it, yeah.
Tully was going to the Four Horsemen, right?
Well,
Is this the whole thing?
so it was just to free him up, to put him.
Yes,
Okay.
Especially if you go into the Four Horsemen, you already have J.J. Dillon. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying nothing bad about Baby Doll, but see, now she's in the way, but still she was a great commodity to the business.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to do something with her, so they turned her baby face and put her with Dusty Rhodes.
Right.
You see, then that way it took away where you had, Rick, Ole, Arn, or if Ole wasn't there, Barry Windham, Lex Luger, but see, then you had JJ and Baby Doll wasn't there, being the second fiddle hanging on. You understand?
What do you think
me?
about her pairing with Dusty?
For what they done was good because I can really say this for Dusty. No matter what situation that Dusty was in, he made it good. He made it work. Even though when he went to WWE and they put the polka dots on
He
him,
still made that work. Though.
see, he made it
He was
work.
committed to it.
So with Baby Doll and Dusty, he made it work.
It worked.
No matter which way it went, he still made it work.
You know if they ever hooked up behind the scenes?
Beg your pardon?
You know if they ever hooked up behind the scenes?
No.
If he hooked up, what do you mean? If he banged her?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
You'd be closer to that information than I. Have
You
to
know,
ask. That's what the fans want to know. We got to ask what the
I was
fans
never interested in seeing Dusty naked.
Can you imagine that? It'd be like an episode of National Geographic.
Well, I need to see him.
Hit him with a hose.
Whoa, buddy.
The rumor is that Dusty brought in Harley so that Magnum could get, this is when Magnum was doing his undefeated thing, so that Magnum could get a real credible win, but Harley, upon getting there, didn't want to do it and left. Did you ever hear that?
I don't remember Harley coming in.
I remember.
For 1
Yes.
week, I don't remember.
And understand me. I'm thinking about how to put this and word it. It's like you said, Dusty wasn't going to be the stepping stone for Magnum TA. And another
Harley,
thing-
you mean? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Harley
Yeah,
wasn't going to be the stepping stone for Magnum TA. Even though that he's a former world champion, but he's not coming in on national TV to do a job to get somebody over. Harley still got a lot more left in him.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what that's all about. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't have done it either.
The rumor was that afternoon they, in the fracas, kind of got into it a little bit for real. You know if that's
Who him and
and Magnum.
no,
No.
That's
Okay.
bullshit. Yeah.
86. How would he have fit in with that roster?
Who Harley?
Yeah, as opposed to the earlier run, like the 83 run, with guys like you getting over, a little flashier now, a little
Yeah,
faster.
well, we a little flasher down, but still, Harley's the former world champion. Now you got Rick to contend with. He'll be wanting to fight for the world titles, but that later on that Harley came back and he managed Curtis Hughes.
Right.
But that's a whole different situation. You got to understand it being in our business, the shoes that Harley wore. Harley laid down a hard path too.
Big shoes to fill.
To our business, and sometimes it's a hard. Even though you got to understand sometimes you runs over and it's a little hard to swallow. But it wasn't time for Harley to do that. You understand me? It wasn't time for that, and I don't know where it was going to anyway, because I'm not sitting here criticizing nobody. I know Magnum TA was a great wrestler, but Magnum TA couldn't have carried the load. And I'm just telling that's what I speak. You know, Robert and I already had a run with the Midnight Express in Louisiana. We had matches that were absolutely, and I like it. It's like rock and roll, solid gold. We had matches that went in history. So when we put things together, it was just chemistry that worked together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for instance, and you got to understand, and we here are, you know, and I'm not here to insult anybody's intelligence. You know, my business now, you know, we know what we're doing. Back then, it was real sacred.
Sure.
That's what I called it when wrestling was real. You know, we didn't prefer to it as sports entertainment. But when Dennis and them dropped me on the racket, mm-hmm. and you know, and you really worked your angle back then. If you know, you seen the blood come out the side of the mouth, mm-hmm. And actually, at none of the shows, at none of the interviews, if you ever watched it, I didn't talk for 1 month.
Right.
We worked it. I didn't talk. I didn't do no interviews. But you see, that's how the people related to our business back then. I was really hurt.
Right.
You know, that first match, I know that was fake, but that Midnight Rock and Roll Express, boy, that was real.
Yeah.
That match was real. And it was like that. That's the chemistry we had with Jimmy Cornette and Bobby Eaton and Dennis Conridge, and it went on to Stan Lane. But it was so great, and you know, and they believed it. See, and the reason the people believed it and how it got over is because we made it. The people believe it.
Right.
That's what got us over.
Sure. I mean, today they'd have you, they'd do that, and then that night you'd be on the Tonight Show.
Oh yeah, I'd be talking and everything else. You know,
Robert, most of the time we saw you coming, like the hero coming to Ricky's save. Is that something you guys discussed and engineered, or just did it kind of naturally happen that way with the two of you?
It naturally happened, huh?
it was, and I know it's.
I was a little bit bigger guy, and he was a smaller guy.
And he did that. They did with me and Robert. You know, here he no. Here I come to see the day. But
well,
no,
right, he did. Right.
But no, it was good. If you go back and watch a lot of our matches, you know, they got the heat on me, and I give Robert a hot tag.
Right.
It wasn't the part about that I was picked over better. It was just the part that what we did. It worked into what we do. I was the smaller, and I sewed.
Right.
And that's what I prided myself on and prided to doing it. And when I done it, the people believed it.
Well, you know this. You've become one of those iconic, you know, when someone's given a term that's defined, like the gorilla position, and it's they call it the Ricky Morton cell, you know,
yes.
the babyface cell. So you've put, forever your stamp is on that role.
Yes, and that's what I did, you know, and a lot of people don't understand it. That just doesn't happen. It took years to perfect that, to learn, because, you know, and this is what I'm going to try to tell you, a little secret about selling. Now, when I'm wrestling Arn Anderson, and Arn Anderson's going, and my nickname's Punky. That's what my nickname is in the wrestling business.
Okay.
Punky, you okay? Well, see, he don't know if I'm hurt or not.
Oh, because you're selling so well.
Yeah, okay. Now, if he's thinking that, what's that guy on the front row thinking? Really? Now, if Arn's thinking that, then that guy on the front row's thinking, what's that guy up there in that balcony thinking? Well, he's up there thinking, they're killing that son of a bitch. God, just help him. But no, that's the way the business was.
Sometimes we're getting shit out of it.
Oh, yes. You know, but that's what it was. A lot of hard times, and a lot of things with Jimmy Cornette, too, and what people don't
I was just going to say, you can't talk about Midnights without talking about Corny a little bit here.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, go ahead.
No,
you asked me a question.
Well, I was going to say, what was talk about his central role in the feud there, and he got as much as the attention in the creating the heat.
And understand, in our business, even though you have great workers, you understand me, Bobby and Dennis, and then it went to Bobby to Stan. But see, none of that could have been put together unless you had a great mouthpiece to go with it. For instance, I'm going to tell you, for example, my son wants to be a professional wrestler. He's 14 years old, and I come from a second generation. I'm second generation. My daddy was a wrestler. So when I got to the age, has the business has changed so far that I put my son in the acting school. Mm-hmm. You know, he plays, you know, he's actor, and he does all kinds of different things, and I told him that's the reason why, because now our business is 98% talking.
It's about the charisma. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And Jimmy Cornette, at that day and time when it was 50% wrestling, Jimmy Cornette took it over to the top with that mouth. You understand me? I love Jim. Jimmy was one of the best, and it, even in real life today, whatever you do not ever get in a verbal fight with him.
Well, we're very close to Jim. Jim has a series that we produce.
He will bury your ass.
He's
okay, good.
We're okay with Jim.
Yeah. Well, good. Roddy was a tough, in personal life, Ronnie's a tough son of a bitch, buddy. And no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
You whoop your ass before God got the word. Is that quick enough?
I'd hope he would.
But understand, as it went on. Now, does this right here lead into the Miss Atlanta Lively, or does this right here, is that already bypassed us? And
That was before.
That's before this. Okay.
okay, because all right, now it's the time for for Ronnie to win the belt from Flair, right?
Yeah. Well, here we're kind of in the middle of the angle, right?
Yeah, okay, because they're
Yeah.
building him up to it. Yes, Ronnie Garvin. Oh man, look at him. He was, you know what? And there was something overdue for Ronnie, and plus Rick had to have somebody to drop the belt too. I mean, and I say this, I don't say it harsh or badly. There weren't many guys in business that Rick was able to drop the belt to. You understand me?
Well, let me ask you a question. We're talking about charisma, and now Ric Flair had it in spades, obviously. So he was, but someone like Ronnie, would he have been? I mean, certainly the work rate was there, but did he have the charisma that he could have kept a title run going?
Well, no. Well, see, this is where we're going back to Dusty being the booker. Dusty built him up to that part.
Mm-hmm.
Roddy didn't have the talk
Right.
that most of them did, but he had and you notice Ronnie didn't keep the belt that long, but the part that he kept it, they built it up as far as they could go with it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand me? They knew what length they could go with Ronnie to hold the belt.
Right, and they didn't overstay their welcome.
Yes, and they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a part about the here, but and it really, God put a boost in Ronnie Garvin's ass. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
He was, then he was really over. He was a world champion. Cable was all kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
We had to find the best night to run. What your ratings going to be on that Friday? That's what that was about. See how the ratings did for that Friday night. Then they didn't mention they did another Saturday. One on a Saturday.
Well, eventually there's the Clash of Champions shows start airing, where those are 2-hour blocks, I guess, right?
And I think Monday Night Nitro, didn't that become on before Monday Night Raw, or was Monday Night Raw on the whole?
Raw was first.
Okay.
And then it hadn't garnered any steam for the first couple of years, but then when it got hot, that's when Turner wanted something to go up against.
Well, yeah, he wanted to go up against Vince.
How was Ted? Let's talk about Ted for a minute. Ted?
I only met Ted like a couple of times.
No, he didn't saunter into there at 9 o'clock in the morning with a broad on each arm like JJ told us. And, hi, guys, how you doing? Just passing through. Want to say you guys doing a great job, blah, 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 and out the back.
Well, he might have did, but I never seen him.
No? Okay.
I seen him one with, one time, I think he's with Jane Fonda one time. I don't know if they were married at the time or not.
Right.
He just come, but I was downtown at TBS.
Right, in the TBS.
The CNN building.
The building with the columns, the old...
the CNN building, I believe is what it was, wasn't it?
Well, they used to, I think, I was actually in Atlanta trying to get to...
17 station?
Yes.
No, I was at the office.
Oh, he was at, you're talking about the office. I was talking about the studio, yeah.
Yeah, no, I never seen him at the studio. I sure
Where the
didn't.
hell did you guys dress for that? Were you like in office space?
In the hallway.
Yeah, look here.
Yeah, because it
hallway, office, where people worked at their
On their
desks.
desks, you're sitting there with your ass on their desk, basically, right?
Yeah, sure did. Bunch of times.
Keyboards don't feel good in that spot.
Hey, Monday morning blues. Wait till you come in for Monday morning.
Ricky was here. This incarnation of the Midnight Express that beats you is Dennis Condrey. Now, he's going to be replaced with Stan Lane. Compare and contrast them for me.
Both of them great workers, different styles, but both of them were really good. Dennis is, I remember wrestling Dennis back with my brother. Dennis Condrey and Norvell Austin was his team. Then Dennis and Bobby got together, and then later on Stan. But they was all good.
When you think back to the Midnight Express, is there one core that comes to mind? Who was the Midnight Express to you?
Well, I'll tell you the real story. The first Midnight Express was Randy Rhodes and Norvell Austin. But when it come down to it, and understand me, we sit there talking, and a lot of people are going to watch this, and I don't know what happened. And basically, when it comes to somebody's personal life, it was none of my business. I didn't ask. But it takes a lot. It takes a hell of a man to do this. And it ain't but a few people in this business are able to put yourself in a situation. Dennis was the leader of the pack. He was the older one. Even all of us, our matches, he's out there, he's directing traffic. We're going through, Cornette's doing the talking, we're drawing the money. Don't know what happened. Just one day Dennis was gone. And when Dennis was gone, I thought to myself, wow. And then
It was on top of the world.
and then we was right there. But then the next night we wrestled in Midnight Express. And there's Stan Lane there. And understand me, my hat is off to a man because, buddy, Stan stepped right into those shoes and we never missed a beat. And understand it was two different. Dennis was the brute guy that wrestled, and here comes Stan Lane. This has to be a bad guy. He's a handsome man.
Yeah.
Great body, great physique, but buddy, he knew how to work that, and him and Bobby Eaton had that chemistry too. So we never missed a beat.
Right.
We never missed nothing. Went right to where we're going, and it takes a special person to do that.
When you lose the titles to them, is this a time in wrestling, we've gone through so many generations, different trends in the business and booking, are you told when you're going to get it back, that you're even going to get it back, that we'd like to get the straps back to you, or is it just you're losing them tonight and it's a bit of a mystery?
Well, a lot of times it's more of a mystery, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And understand me, in our business, and the wrestling business has changed. And in those days, you see, really, for me and Robert having the world titles, they don't put asses in seats. Understand me, what put asses in seats is the baby faces trying to beat
Chasing
the heels
them,
for the belts. See, that's what puts the asses in there. If they put the belts back on us, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. To me, it wasn't about wearing the belts, it was about getting paid every week. And see, when you're top workers in a business, the whole crew depends on you.
Right.
So it's not about me being a glory hound with a belt around my waist. It's about selling out arenas.
Now you have wisdom now. When you were, a young guy, were you aware of that at the time, or was the glory of holding a belt?
The greatest thing that ever happened to Robert and I. People ask about what's the greatest moment in your business. Well, the greatest moment in our business was winning the NWA World Tag Team titles for the first time. But understand me, when we won them, we knew we had to drop them because here we go again, and we can't draw money. Right. Nobody's going to see us. The people pay the money to see us beat the heels, but the heels always screw you. You see, next time they can't do that, and you have a match where they screw you a different way.
That was in Charleston, wasn't it?
Yeah. Charleston, South Carolina.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
How did you know this? I know you did a lot of research.
This is what we do.
That's cool. Because this really happened.
Tell me what happened.
Go ahead, Hoot.
Well, actually, what happened, we wrestled. The guy said 5 minutes remaining. And we wrestled another 15 minutes. Then he goes 4 minutes remaining. What the hell?
Yeah, and
we're still wrestling. Finally, we end up winning. On the way back, the guy, the bellkeeper, come between me and Ricky. He goes, guys, I gave y'all an extra 30 minutes. I knew y'all could beat them.
Sure did.
I wanted to choke
He's
him.
not smart to the business, you understand?
I
He
wanted to choke
finally did his hundreds. That's what
beat
with
me.
Dennis. Dennis said, "Go ahead and beat me, man." He said, "This guy ain't gonna ring a bell."
Yeah, I said I gave y'all an extra 30 minutes. I knew y'all could win.
Yeah.
So let's talk about going Broadway anyway. Doing the 60. Forget about the 90 minutes. Let's talk about doing a 60-minute Broadway.
Okay.
You gotta approach this match differently than you approach a 17-minute pinfall, right? Your
Right.
pacing has to change. Tell me the differences in going into a 60-minute Broadway and how you're gonna prepare to go that long.
If you know how to work, we've done a lot of Broadways, and not only with the Midnight Express. I did a bunch with Flair, but we did them in Robert and I done them in cage matches.
With the Andersons,
Yeah, with Ole and Arn doing an hour at the cage.
which is unheard of.
But see, the only thing you had to do is not use the cage for the last 2 minutes of the match.
Okay, so like that's a good example. Right? Okay,
Yes,
so you
you
got to
hear me?
resist, given the cum shot. I was gonna say the money shots early in the
Bend me
match.
over. Go ahead. Yes, we did, buddy. We just had to slow things down.
Right.
For instance, in our time limit, like a regular match, they get the heat on me, I give Robert a hot tag.
Right.
But if you noticed, in our Broadways, we do our thing, then they get the heat on Robert.
Right.
They get heat on Robert for a while.
Right.
Then give me a hot tag, then cut me off, and then we go into the long, serious, sullen heat.
Okay.
Until I gave Robert a hot tag, and he always got down. We always try to do the part where, and every good heel did this, where we had them beat 1, 2, and the bell rings. Time limits up.
Right.
You see, that took good heel. See, a wrestling business is, most of your match is only based off timing. And when you got good timing, you got to get heels got good timing. You see, that's where you got people come up. Ric Flair, the Midnight Express. Instead of, they timed it perfect. Like William with the double drop kick, and they knew exactly how much time. And the referee too. Tommy Young was a great referee too. He knew 1, 2, ding, ding, ding. Time limits up, and they're still laying there.
Right.
It's good things like
Sure.
that. A lot of false finishes before.
Now after going 60 minutes, you can't be hitting the Bennigans and drinking all night, right? Are you going back to bed, or are you
We
going?
did.
You did.
Yeah, we did.
But I didn't go to bed for 35 years. What are you talking about?
I was going to ask you, are there any stories of Flair wearing nothing but the big gold belt at the airports and the hotels? But why don't I rephrase that to tell me your favorite Flair wearing only the gold belt in the airports or the airplanes and hotels?
Well, basically, we're going back to where we were talking again. The baby faces didn't talk to the heels, especially in the public and heel. But I have.
But would you be on flights together?
Yeah, but see, then we were able enough to buy private planes. Crockett bought us, we had a private plane in the jet, and normally Rick could get to drinking. You heard that saying, tequila makes sure your clothes fall off. No, he didn't have to drink tequila. He just got naked.
His were the
Okay,
his were the
but understand
kamikazes,
me.
right? That was Rick's.
I've
gimmick,
seen him
wasn't
do it many a times. I've seen him we'd be at a bar somewhere in Richmond. We're staying there at the hotel, and Rick had disappeared. He'd come back with his robe on, and nothing but a smile on up underneath it. But that happened a lot of times. But then it happened so many times that I just kind of ignored it. I mean, it's a natural thing for Rick.
it? Day at the office.
Oh yeah,
A coworker.
oh yeah, it's just whatever.
He did not enjoy this.
Now understand.
He was scared to death.
Yes.
Jimmy Cornette was so scared of heights. And when we first did this, we had and they'd be raising him up, and Robert, he'd always run right before he got high enough and grab the cage and swing it.
Yeah, swing way.
You got to know Jimmy Cornette. He's up in that cage, and we can hear him, "Fuck you, you son of a bitch! Fuck you! I hate you! I hate you!" But I was going to tell you a story. When I first broke into business, I was in Houston, Texas, and Jose Lothario, he's wrestling somebody, and they had Don Carson. He was a manager in one of those. Dude, and 15,000 people in the Sam Houston Coliseum, and they raise him up, and he runs and grabs it, and he's kind of sling hit Don Carson. He did, and he turned around to the people. What he did, the cage come back, hit him in the back of the head. Brother knocked him out.
Great spot.
Hey.
He didn't intend to, but great spot.
Oh,
No, great spot. I mean, it knocked him out. I mean, he's colder than a cucumber. Can you wrestle? That was the man. I'm watching this. I'm a kid, man. I'm dying, man. Wow. Well, to me, I thought at the time good enough was well enough. We were doing good, with the TBS and the Crockett promotion. And I know that they're coming in with the Iron Glove from the North, WWE. But, I'm going back to a point that sometimes you just can't fight City Hall, dude. In my time, I mean, I'm going, why should we go to the Meadowlands and wrestle when that night we can be in the Omni and sell it out? Do you understand me? Or we can be in Tampa selling it out. Why go to Meadowlands? And see, and I know you guys are from up here, and it's a lot higher to live up here. Tickets are a lot more. Your expenses are a lot more. And seeing it, to me, I thought it was just a waste of time.
Right.
Even if it's two promoters that's going into it, but it's only going to be one cut. You understand? It's only going to. Only one person is going to get the first count. Okay.
Do you remember there being a lot of politics backstage
Yeah.
when all you guys were together from all these territories, all these promoters running around?
It seemed like everybody was trying to get on Crockett's wagon.
Well, even that, but nobody wanted to put nobody over.
Right.
Right.
The AWA, if you notice, they didn't put me and Robert against the AWA champions because who's going to do the job?
Right.
You understand me?
Sure.
And
You can't have a card full of disqualifications. So,
no, you can't.
Somebody's going to
And
win.
and it's not me. I'm a businessman.
Right.
But you think Crockett's going to let Vern's guys beat us? Well, no. And Vern ain't going to let Crockett guys beat him, because here you go. You've got Vern. He's a hard-headed asshole promoter too, which I loved him. Don't get me wrong. But he's stand his ground. He don't give a shit. He's going to stand his ground, and there Crockett's going to stand his ground. And plus, you got to understand there was a lot more promoters then. You out of Kansas City, Pat O'Connor, and all them. All this stuff was happening at one time. And
What about being with work? Forget about the promoters. What about workers from the other territories? Was there a competitive nature to everybody being together like this, or was it still a brotherhood where you all kind of felt you were in the same boat?
It's still brotherhood, huh?
well, dude, it's we depended on each other for a living.
Yeah.
We never had contracts.
Right.
And I didn't. And everybody could say everything. Well, Ricky Morton worked on top, blah blah blah. We never had a contract. These guys here, and I'm serious, some of them make more than a week. We made in 5 years. And it's hard for me to accept that. But as it come to the boys knew their job. See, back then you had underneath boys, you had middle guys, and you had top guys. We knew all where we stood. But see, and the underneath guys depended on the top guys to feed them, to pay their bills. We had to draw houses, so you really didn't have a conflict there about your positions, because they know if we're on top and we got good heat with the Midnight Express on top, we're going to sell out. So we're going to be good.
Right.
But us now, when Robert and I were the World Tag Team titles, we did go into a couple of territories. I remember going into Kansas City wrestling Bulldog Bob Brown and Marty Jannetty. That was their top tag team, and going up to Seattle and Portland and wrestling their top guys. But
We would visit other places.
but
with something like this, when they
we
threw
did the
you all
same
in the
thing that
same
Rick
locker
did.
room.
But we didn't go in. We go in and work with their top guys. You go our Broadway.
Right.
Sure would. That's just all.
Well, that was just good business.
It was just
so to be
business.
able to, yeah.
Yes. When I broke it we wasn't wrestling the Midnight Express on TBS. It was Joel.
No, it was after a match.
Yeah, it was Joel Deaton and somebody, and Joel Deaton come off the top rope, and he hit right here, and my finger went this way, and I finished the match. Understand me? I walked back through the dressing room, and Dennis Connie was standing there, and I went, "Oh, Dennis, man!" And he looked at me, and Dennis, he just look here. He took my hand. Like there's he's going on. He goes, "Who is that right there?" And I turned around and looked, and he went, "Whop!" And he popped it. And when he did that, actually, no shit, I leapfrogged him over the top of him, back, and I ran plumb out in the parking lot before I realized that he fixed it. You know, you ever seen the cartoon with they don't want to wake him up and he'll run the hillside? Ah! That's what I did.
You ran outside the street.
Oh, hell yeah. I said it hurt like a son of a bitch. And that, you know, it's like had that heartbeat in it throbbing. But off of that, you know, we worked it, and, you know, but see, I had to work that night, and I didn't get to go to the doctor. And by the time we got to the airport, my fingers were this big around.
Right.
And I never forget, Dusty was standing there, you know, and I told Dusty, I said, I think I broke my fingers. We was in Atlanta airport, and he went to the ice cream machine and got him, you know, there's popsicles that had 2 sticks in it, and took that out. He ate the popsicles.
Of course.
And then he sat there and he taped that on my hand. That was on a Saturday. We flew, I think, somewhere that night, did an hour Broadway with the Midnight Express. That Sunday we had a match in Asheville, I believe, North Carolina. And then and I didn't go to the doctor until Monday morning. And then it told me it was broke. And then they put a big cast on it.
Right.
Look here, I got back home, I got to wrestle that night, and I think Dusty Rhodes cut that off. And then we taped it back up, and then Jimmy Crockett went and had me one special made for it, you know.
How difficult is it to wrestle with a cast? I mean, it must cut your mobility. Even just a body slam.
Well, it's just under. The first one they put on me was horrifying,
right.
but then, you know, that's when they, you know, they come out with the fiberglass ones that were real light, and it's, you know, you just had to watch to keep from potatoing somebody, and it's awkward in a match because you just, you know, you're just not you. But I tell you, you know, and to say that, you know, I broke my arm in Japan one time, and when I was in Japan, they took me to the doctor, and then here I am, and I'm laying down, and they put my thing in a cast and a harness, and look here, I'm like this. I come out like this right here. Now they put me on that airplane to fly me 24 hours back to the United States. Here I am like this. Look here. And finally I got first class out of it because I'm on the plane with the Japanese people. I'm hitting everybody. Oh, ita. Finally they put me in the first class. But still it wasn't no better. And I got off the airplane. My wife was standing there and she's going, what the fuck? I went, take me to the hardware store and cut this son of a bitch off me. I was no kidding.
What was your take on the angle, but also Baby Doll getting thrown around by the guys as much as she did back then? Today, people would be outraged, but again, a bit of a different time. What was your personal opinions on it?
Well, I mean, they don't do that today. I don't know.
Well, the women beat each other up today.
Yes. Really,
it didn't raise a flag.
To me, it didn't.
Okay.
Because times were different then.
Right.
You know, at that time, you could still whoop your kid's ass. You know, and you know, and now you can. Now when they go to. Now when your children go to preschool, the first thing they learn in school is you can't. If mama and daddy whoops your ass, they can go to jail. You know that?
911.
Oh yes, that's the first thing they learn the first day when they go to preschool. You know, but back then you could whoop your kid's ass, at least they mind you. Now they don't mind you. They don't do nothing.
But you still can't whoop your wife, and or couldn't whoop your wife. But
Well,
this is a woman getting knocked around.
I can't whoop
now,
my wife.
what about her? Was she tough?
Baby doll, yeah,
Yeah,
she
she's a big girl.
What are you talking about? Yeah, she had Mike Tyson knock your ass out.
So
Yeah,
she
she's
clearly
tough
had no
girl.
objection to this.
Well, no. But it's all about putting asses in seats, and it's a different time. That's heat. Did Dusty come out and make the save?
In this particular one, no.
Somebody had to make the save.
Who was it? It was you and Sam Houston.
Okay. Well, see, that was great because at the time Sam Houston was dating Baby Doll.
Correct.
All right, so that made sense.
That didn't work out too well for either one of them as far as their tenure in the company. What was the problem there? We were actually talking about this over lunch today. Was he beginning to put restrictions on what she'd be allowed to do on
Jealousy.
TV?
It was
Right,
jealousy.
yeah.
Well, everything's that, dude. And I made a comment to you a while ago, and I hope you got it, that I married my girlfriend in the business. She was my friend, so, I don't have none of that. You understand me? I don't want to live with that. So that's the reason people ask me all the time, yeah, I married her. She knows me.
They were, they're still together today, husband and wife, and they were really good together. Jimmy Garvin came out there, fluffed his hair, and he got over.
Jimmy come off a big run out of Dallas.
Yeah.
With the Von Erichs.
Sure.
Him and Michael Hayes are really tight. Because they had a big run out there. Part of Jimmy Garvin with Precious and everything. And and this is the time that new characters were coming in, and they was a step ahead. And Jimmy was a step ahead. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with the Precious. That outfit, and how he went to the ring. It was a new era, and Jimmy, Jimmy's a great worker. So, and him and Precious both, they.
How was she? Was Patty well liked by the boys?
She was loved.
Yeah. She wasn't liked. She was loved by the boys.
Excellent.
And all the boys respected her, and she respected us.
Could Jimmy keep up with the partying with you guys? How was he in that area?
Well, no, Patty was with him all the time.
Patty was always with him, right?
Yeah.
How about her? Could she keep up with the partying with you guys? Could she have a couple cocktails herself?
She could hang.
Very good.
She could hang with us.
You want a good story?
I love it.
You want a good story?
Yes.
Because I'm not afraid to tell you how. Jimmy Garvin used to fly the airplanes, and he flew a Cessna, and we flew into a place. Here it's my wild days, and so I get the limo driver to go get me an 8-ball cocaine. Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted a bump of it, so Jimmy's on the airplane, and I'm fixing to do it, but Patty wasn't doing it. But I told Patty, I said, stand in front of me for everybody on the plane can't see me do this, So I knew she wasn't going to stooge on me. So right when I went to do it, Jimmy Garvin hit the motor on the airplane, right? That's $300, and it all blew right in Patty's face.
Oh, jeez.
Now, see, cocaine goes in your pores and your eyes, and your, I don't care, I went right in her face, and just instantly she would. Her guys going, she's talking 100 miles an hour, and I'm a mad son of a bitch, man. I told Jimmy, I'll kill you, man. And look here, we're on the plane, Patty's sitting in front of me all the way home. I don't think she told Jimmy, but gosh, she had to.
I hope she bought you an expensive Christmas present.
No
for
kidding,
giving her
dude.
$300 worth of blow.
Yes.
Why did Jim Cornette draw so much heat?
Because, he was the manager that everybody thought that if they got their hands on him, they could just beat his ass. He had that talk that he could just
The mama's boy.
He could make the fans feel like they were that big. Insult them. That's what a good talker does. And understand me, if we're going to go to a point, when Jimmy first started in the business, you know, he was a big pussy. You know what I'm saying? He was. But I watched him get his ass beat so many times. We had riots back then. I watched Jimmy get his ass beat so many times that he got tired of that shit. He learned to fight. All right? It wasn't never learned to fight. I guess he grew a set of balls. And brother, he started fighting. I guess when it come to that racket, that was, and he literally did. He had 2 rackets. He had one he carried when we had a real hot finish, had a horseshoe in it. Okay, and the other one was just a plain one.
To get himself out of the ring, you mean? Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you don't understand. I mean, and I don't care who you are. And I've seen this many times. It's hard to fight 20 people. I'm serious. It's hard to fight 20 people.
Tell me the craziest near riot story you guys had from that time.
What, near riot? But we had riots.
All the time.
Oh, well, you know what? I was especially in Louisiana, we was wrestling. Matter of fact, we did the same thing there that Dusty did when we first come in. We beat Ivan and Barry Dorso for the world titles, but when Bill Watts took us in to Louisiana before we wrestled a Midnight Express, it was Nikolai Volkov and Barry Dorso. Guys, and it's great. I got to put my hat off to Dusty. We're smart. You got these Russians and especially in NWA. Now they don't beat everybody. They even beat Dusty at Magnum. And that's what they got them ready for, the All-American kids that come in, and when we come in to fight the Russians, and seriously, the fans really thought we had about as much chance as a snowball in hell to beat them, but we did beat them. But see, it's the same thing, and here's Barry Dorso, man. I seen these people. A lot of times I'd be selling. I'd have that one eye watching, but sometimes you had to get up. You had to get up and help them fight to get back. I seen Barry Dorso get hit right here with a battery, just split his head up, and then Nikolai Volkov had me hung over the rope with a rope, and I could see this fan coming with a knife. I went, holy shit! And he come, and when he swung, I'm hollering at Nikolai to move, and he swung that knife down, and it was so perfect. It didn't cut him, but it cut his boot. Look, he took a step in his wrestling boot just high. It cut his wrestling boot all the way down to the bottom of it. And he stepped right out of the boot. But see, that's just one situation. I seen, man, oh my God, them heels fight. Yeah, that was the rule that they made in Mid-South, that the heels could not leave. Nobody could leave till the show was over. And the reason why it was over because they had riots during all the, the main event and semi-main event.
Was that the craziest city for you guys down in New Orleans, or in Watts' territory? As far as angry fan reaction.
Yeah, well, but you got them
New Orleans
Cajuns.
was pretty rough, yeah.
You got them Cajuns, man. You go down there for areas, and hell, they don't even speak English. Let me tell you, I remember I said Dr. Ted Steve Williams down there one time. I told him, I said, Doc, watch these fans out here. I said, man, they don't even speak English here. Fuck them. Okay, fuck them. We're having our match. He's getting the heat on me. I don't know. You wasn't there. That was a single match. 4 years old later, he's getting the heat on me. He's going, hey, Ricky, make a comeback. I said, what's the matter? He said, man, the fans coming in. I'm laying out. I says, oh, I thought you said fuck them. Get up and beat me. He said, beat me right now. And then, look here, I beat him. Brother, he went out of the ring. They fought him all the way back to the dressing room. They burned him with cigarettes. And when he gets to the dressing room door, the door was locked. He couldn't get in the dressing room. Funny shit, dude. Yeah, I seen some funny, man.
I seen the fans jump off the balconies, second-story balconies on top of the Midnight Express.
When they're leaving on the ramp?
That's
when they're coming back.
Yeah.
Especially if they screwed us in a match.
Oh, they'd jump
They
off.
had to fight their way. Then Rick had to get out and go after them to get the people off them, get them back in the locker room.
Yes. I remember that now, but that's something that's went on past my memory. But I do remember that. But
What about job? Would job guys ever come in and try to take some liberties?
Oh God, I've seen all the You know what? It's on one of the TBS tapes.
Where he knocks the guy's teeth out.
Where Ole thought it was a rib because he's wrestling the guy keeps leg diving him. And he's looking at Arn, because Arn, I mean, he thinks it's a rib, he's laughing. Then finally he figured it wasn't. And Ole just starts headbutting this guy. I mean, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and it's going and all of a sudden this guy's face
All
turns.
his teeth are knocked out.
Yeah, oh yes. And this is live on TBS TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, a guy coming in don't want to sell for him.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, well you get
That was a
that.
mistake.
Back then you'd get that all the time.
Wow.
You know.
Talk about Dusty as a boss. I mean, he's all over the TV shows back then, particularly on TBS. How do you think he did with managing his on-screen persona and being the boss? He's gotten a lot of criticism for
Dusty had a great mind.
working on top and being a booker at the same time.
All right, Dusty had a great mind for the business. For what we had, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, what we had for TBS, Dusty did great, and we drew great houses. But when they started to expand, well, so did Dusty. Then it's only so much you can do with yourself, you know. And I'm going to say this. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. Dusty tried every way in the world to kill us off. But finally he couldn't do that. So he started putting bandanas on and being six-mans with Robert Nuss. You
Did
know,
everything he could to kill off the Rock and Roll Express?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Too hot.
And plus, you know, the business is political. I worked hard to get where I'm at. And I'm not a stooge. I don't kiss ass to have a job. If I did, I'd be somewhere else, and I have a lot of money in my pocket. Yeah, but for instance, let me say this to you. This is a quote, and I heard this other day, and somebody asked me about this. This is, yeah, but you wrestle. Now, if you wrestle, that's your job. And and he was talking about, you know, if you do that, that means you never work a day in your life. And I said, man, that's a bunch of bullshit. Whoever told you that? I mean, you must have a hell of a lot of money in the bank. You know, that quote, but understand me, Dusty, push Dusty, you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But when it went the real big things, you know, there's some things you couldn't do, buddy. And to make Dusty look good, for instance, we didn't need a private jet. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Just one day, all of a sudden, Jimmy Crockett's $11 million in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shouldn't be. We're selling out.
That was the business mismanagement, but on a personal level. I mean, it's interesting what you said before, that you guys were getting too hot. Now, that's just an ego decision, because if I'm a booker and a businessman, I want you guys to be hot.
Well, he actually told us that we couldn't sell no more buildings out without not him on the card. And that's a fact. And then, you know, it was the same thing. You know, Dusty fired us. We were hot. We was in there. You know, that's when he had everybody else coming in. But you noticed after he fired us, it wasn't 6 months later, they were broke. And they called us to come back in. But it was too late then. You understand me? Dusty done. It was nobody to work with. No heels were hot. You know, and they done wore it out. But no, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. I like Dusty. You know, I liked him, but you know, it's just the way it was. I mean, I'm not the only one saying this. I mean, if anybody's out there listening and thinking I'm wrong, well, you wasn't there. You don't know. You weren't there in the situation that we were in. When I knew that if we did it this way, it'd have been a lot better, but he wouldn't do it that way.
Would you guys have words about that with him?
I did a couple of times. You know, you know, it's more down to that. You know.
I mean, is he a guy that you could have gone up to Robert and say, "This is bullshit"?
Well,
or
you could, but he wouldn't change the finish. You see, the whole thing come down. See, we were fixing to do an angle with sheep herders. Here we are, the Rock and Roll Express. I got long hair, all right, and they wanted Dusty wanted them to cut my hair off.
I'm going to ask you about hair matches and if you ever would have done it if anyone approached you.
Well, that's the reason we got fired, wasn't it? A lot of things were ad-libbed. They were.
Mhm.
A lot of things were. That day, I knew when I come out of the ring, Rick was going to be at the podium, and he was going to call me out there because we couldn't start a little angle. He pulled the little bra out. I really didn't know he was going to have the little bra. And if you watch this thing, it's really cool because we knew how to kayfabe, we knew how to do things. See, a lot of things nowadays, it just happened. Rick's doing this right here, and he's talking to me, and if you notice me, I'm trying to get closer to him because he's talking like a ventriloquist. Pulling sunglasses off, and that's them damn $500 pair of sunglasses. Pulling sunglasses off, stomping, and boom, boom, and here. Finally, I reached up and grabbed one later, and I stomped him, and that's when he slapped me, and boy, all hell broke loose. That was all ad-libbed.
Was he right? Did you only get the teeny boppers, or could you get the big girls in the big sweaters?
Like Cornette said, we got laid more on the way to the ring than we did all year.
Did he say that? That's great.
Yes.
Stealing that.
Hey,
That
buddy.
was crazy.
Robert, I want to ask you a question. Ricky and Flair are going to be the main focus of an angle now, okay? He'd go on to challenge Flair in a series of single matches. You get shots too with Flair, but before that, I think during the summer you work. Are you at all concerned that this is going to take off and the rock and roll team would be compromised?
No. Never thought we'd split up. It was hot.
Right.
Rock and roll was hot. Flair was hot. Just, I didn't
You think it would ever get, that angle would get so hot that they would just forget about the tag team?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't let that happen.
I'm sure you wouldn't have, but I just, in his
Okay.
quiet moments, putting his head on the pillow at night,
All right,
did he ever wonder about
that's another fight I got in Dusty about. Okay.
Okay, so all right, now we have to peel a few layers of the onion back to get to the truth.
Yes.
He wanted to, Dusty.
Yes. They wanted to. That's why I tried to tell you, he tried to kill us off. I wouldn't let it happen.
How did you first get wind of it? Does Dusty tell you himself, or this kind of comes to you another way?
Big meeting that I'm there that, man, we want to do this right here. And I went, well, what's going to happen here? And, well, we're going to do it this way. No, we're not going to do it that way.
Did they want you to turn on him to split you up?
Well, no. And the only reason, and understand me, guys, we went there. The only reason when I did turn on him, it was because I needed a job. Robert was out for a year with his leg. Well, here I am, my finger a mass. But that's when everything's unchanged.
That's it. Yeah, no, I'm talking
Everything done changed. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, they wanted me to do something, but I didn't want to. You understand me? It did. I come Ronnie Garvin won the world title. Okay, you got to put two and two together. I don't really talk about it much. I mean, you think they just come out in the blue to put the world title on Ronnie Garvin right after me and Ric Flair's angle?
Because it was supposed to go a different way.
Yes, it was, and that's all. Let's go to the next question.
Oh, but that's what? No, but I want to say something here.
Yeah.
To him, you can.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What a compliment. That the gold wasn't even important enough.
No, sure wasn't, buddy.
How aware are you guys of what's going on in the competition? Is it discussed in the locker room? Is there ever fear, anger, whatever emotion? Or are you guys just so busy doing your own thing you largely pay no mind to it?
We're so busy doing our own thing because our territory was hotter than a firecracker. Vince was hotter than a firecracker. And understand me, I'm looking at it from one of the boys' stand view. I'm not in office. You understand me? I don't care what Vince did. You understand? I don't care what they did. All I'm worried about is me and Robert wrestling that night, and we sold out the Greensboro Coliseum. A lot of people, a lot of money. I mean, you hear things, but actually, you're in the dressing room.
Yeah.
But the guys that are unhappy, they're the ones that went to Vince.
Right.
And they're the ones that are unhappy are the ones that's bitching.
Do you watch the other product at all?
Never had to. I never watch it today.
No.
I never watch wrestling on TV.
Back then, we wrestled 9 days a week. Every day, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, you never stop.
I'm not even watching. All right, now there's got to be a story here. You guys, the hottest thing for so long for Crockett during the years, there must have been an attempt by New York to get the Rock and Roll Express.
They did call, but we was happy. Let me express something here to you now. And this is, and you see me, I got my wrestling. I ain't here to plug my wrestling skill, but one thing that I do is my young kids is try to teach them, and I'm going to say this, and it's hard to understand, is how important it is to get your education. Because at the time, Robert and I were on top of the world. We got, it's not like Vince calling, but, it's through the grapevine, give him a call or something like this. But see, we're on top of the world. We didn't have no idea. We were paying our bills. We were happy. We was having a good time. But where I'm getting to this right here is going there. We really didn't realize how much we got robbed. You hear me? We never had a contract. Never had that. Even, the Midnight Express had one. We didn't have one. It might have been a good decision, but I don't know. You see, because when you're on live TV on TVS and you go there, it's really hard to start there and work with their guy. Because you got to understand, up here in New York, it's a whole different ballgame than it is down south. Down south it's David and Goliath. Up here it's just, they put you in a match, but you don't know, because a lot of times you get lost in the shuffle.
So you were approached, but it was your decision not to go.
Yeah, and we might have made a bad decision, but we was on top. And what I'm trying to tell you is while we're on top that we lost out a lot. You understand me? Our money went to buy a fucking jet. You hear me?
In the Dallas office.
Yes, it sure did. And it got screwed. Honestly, got screwed. I mean, you look at it today. To go to Vince, what you think it'd have been a great thing, because if they even made one action figure of us, if they only made one, it would change me and his life. Did you know that?
Back then?
No,
Yeah.
right now. Even right now.
Oh, having
Just to have that little income coming in. We're independent wrestlers. You understand me? Don't get me wrong. I'm not out in the middle of the street, but we still got to depend on what we do right now that we shouldn't have to.
Well, you must get some money. You're on the television. You're on the network. You're on the WWE
We don't
network.
get a dime. You hear me? We're on most bloodiest videos. We're on this and we're on that and we're on this. And I'm gonna say to you, about how long ago was that? A month, 6 months ago? I went to my mailbox and there was a damn check from. There was a letter from WWE. Now this is all these years. This is from the network. This is from all the DVDs he put out, World's Greatest Tag Matches, World Bloodiest, and boom, we're on all of them. And I opened that son of a bitch up, and it was $13. Swear to God. How much was yours?
Something like that.
$13. And I opened it up. I went, wow, a check from Vince. And my grandson was standing there, and he goes, did you get a check from WWE? I said, yeah, you can have it.
You get a bye, I think, in the first round, right? They get a bye, and then you're eliminated.
Yes.
This
Okay.
is a disappointment.
Okay, but listen to me now. Who won the match? Who won the whole thing?
The whole tournament?
Uh-huh.
Road Warriors, right?
Okay, gave him a push. Now, who won the next Crockett Cup? Dusty Rhodes.
So okay, I see.
Okay.
That's cooling rock and roll off.
You understand me? All right. Now we're without me just sitting here burying everybody. Now we're going into what we're talking about. Pages way back here. What we're talking about. Okay. Now it's good. The Road Warriors needed to, because they're a badass team, and I love them. But now what we're figuring it down to is Dusty's trying to get them softened up for Dusty can wrestle the Warrior, but it never happened. And you know what I'm saying? And Joe and Mike were too smart. This is the whole thing where me and Flair, it's you know, and then we're going to start our single
That
angle.
was leading up to that.
Okay, we're going to start a single angle. And this is 6-man. I beat Flair in the match. And we go to the dressing room. Now, if you understand, we it's like, again, we ad-lib things. I know they're coming in the back to beat us up. But if you notice and watch the things, it's the little things in the business that people don't understand and they don't watch our match. If you notice, right in the middle of the floor, there's a little drain there. You hear me? So I positioned myself when I got color. It's like Ric Flair was rubbing my face across that drain. And then if you see when I go across it, look on the background, it's blood tracking. Every time it's blood tracking. Boom. And then when that happened, it was, you know, and then when it came out on Monday, when I come in, my face all tore up. You know, but I got blown up by a bomb. You know, it's happened. You know what I'm saying? That's how we drew money then,
Right.
and then it was good.
There's a lot of blood, and were you stitched from that? Do you remember?
No.
Okay. Did you sustain any real damage? Because I mean, people think everything's fake in wrestling. I mean, it's pretty hard.
You see, my face was all tore to pieces. Remember, it was all on there.
Right. So what I'm saying is, so that was legit.
If I tell you, I'd kill you.
Yeah. Wow.
No, buddy, it's our business. You know, I put that on there myself. You know, you don't see that no more.
Right.
It's one of our secrets to our business. I mean, you know, it's just a fake scab. I hate to say fake, but it was a scab.
Turn it over.
Yeah.
Turn it over.
Luthes just turned over in his grave right now.
He's been spinning a long time, I think,
Yeah,
from all the
I
shit
think.
that's out there. So don't worry about it. Look at that. Road Warriors win the Jim Crockett tournament, and then Dusty teams up with them and wins the world 6-man
Imagine that.
title. Imagine that. Wouldn't you know, won the pony.
You mean Dusty put himself with the Road Warriors to get over?
My question here, which I no longer have to ask, is, was this a case of Dusty's ego at work aligning with and putting himself on the level of the Warriors, who were cool and popular at the time?
Sure did.
And it was such a visual mismatch when you
Right.
looked at them and him.
And see, when Dusty was up with us before this, he put the bandanas on. Dusty had the Road Warrior paint on when he went to the ring with them. Y'all forgot about that, didn't you? Okay.
If you were to turn the Rock and Roll into a trio to make a run at that 6-man belt, who would have fit well with you? Dusty would say Dusty did, but I want to know who you thought would have been a good third Rock and Roll.
A good third Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
To me, in my opinion, I don't know, Brad Armstrong.
Okay, I see.
Brad Armstrong. Brad Armstrong was one of the most underrated wrestlers ever. Underrated, but one of the best.
Let's talk about the Mulkeys. Everyone wants to talk about the Mulkeys.
Okay.
They got this little cult following with fans. I guess
Mulkamania.
as the best jobbers of all time, they call them. What was it about them that was appealing? Was it just a physical thing?
Well, they never won a match.
Correct.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys never won a match. But
Yeah,
what
but-
about them was so comical?
Because the bumps they took. You know, they took some of the craziest bumps. And let me tell you guys, they didn't wrestle every night. Because if they wrestled every night, they wouldn't have made it 3 days in our business. I love the Bucket Man. I know Randy and I know all of them. But you got to understand, we did this every night. So they come down to do TBS on Saturday mornings. I guarantee you their ass was bruised up on come. come Monday. You know, they wasn't up sniffy. You're out there running at the gym.
Were they good to work against?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do nothing. All you did was
Bump 'em.
bump them.
But even as a job guy, you could be difficult as a job guy.
And understand our business was different at the time, and if you look a lot of times when Robert and I went out to work with the underneath boys, and it was smart because Gene, I gotta say this, Gene Anderson was the best about it because he knew. He looked who we were wrestling. Y'all wrestling the Muckies, and we go in the ring, go beat them in 15 seconds. So we beat them in 15 seconds. We just went the ring through, one out, and double drop kick. And if you go back and watch a lot of the Mid-Atlantic tape, watch a lot of them when we're not wrestling. We wrestled, me and Robert never went over 10 seconds, 15 seconds in a match. But you understand it, it got us over. So with the Mokies, I mean, you didn't go out on TV then and go 20 minutes with them. Yeah. You know, we couldn't give them no spots because, you know, we're only out there 30 seconds. And, you know, the Midnight Express are out there with them 30 seconds, just throwing them from one end of the building to the other end of the building.
The enhancement guys, the Mulkeys of the world, the George Souths, the Mike Jacksons, did they go out and party with you guys at the Bennigans too? Or they just did TV and kept to themselves?
George worked a while, but, you know, George is a real religious guy. Mike Jackson was... when he lived in Alabama, you understand?
Well, but were the job guys accepted by you as
yes,
part of it?
Well, see, that's what I try to make everybody, you know, if it wasn't for them, we couldn't be who we are. And no, I mean, yeah, they would sometimes, but they wouldn't on every card with us. Mm. You know, especially when you were out on the road, you had all top guys. It's the same thing that had went on where he scraped the face and leading into that. Mm-hmm. And he did the gimmick where he dropped the knee on the back of my... I think, wasn't that before that, though? Wasn't that...
No, I have
that was after that.
The nose coming after the face scrape.
Okay, that's where he broke my nose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I had to go to wear that damn mask. And... that was just a thing, dropping a knee. It was just a part of our business, you know, dropping a knee on the back of my head, and my nose wasn't broke. But then that's when they put that mask on. Look here, then it was covered up to here.
I was just going to say, how annoying was that?
Well, the first time the first match, Dusty gave me all you see is in front of you. You couldn't see, you know, this way.
Peripheral vision.
Yeah, so it was horrifying, you know. And then they had the one made that come out to here, and then it come around, and I could see to the sides, but that thing was money. You know, when I wrestled Ric Flair and he pulled that thing off, oh shit, that's when all hell broke loose. That's what happened in Philadelphia.
Now we're talking about an age of kayfabe, right? So you got to wear some kind of
all the time
face protection everywhere.
Everywhere. I lived right there in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I had black eyes.
Yeah, we lived our road back then. You had to.
Look here, I had black. You know, my wife gave me black eyes every morning. I'd put the tape over my nose, you know what I'm saying, but everywhere I went, you know, even when I went through the airports and everything.
Now, does this hurt your opportunities with the ladies when you're wearing something over your face like that, or maybe this enhanced it because of the sympathy fuck?
Sympathy wins it all, buddy.
Sympathy fuck.
Which when you go to wrestle, and you look out there, and I'm wrestling Ric Flair, when I broke my arm, the girls would come up and have broke arm cast on them. They put fake cast on their arms. When I was wrestling Ric Flair, they put the tape over their nose. They was there with me. You see, that's how much they were into it.
He went from being a TV job guy to getting a push.
We beat him many times on TV.
Now, who makes that call and goes, you know what, this guy could actually do something more than that?
Dusty liked him. Sure did. He liked him. He made him Jimmy Cornette's bodyguard, did he?
Yeah.
Made him overnight, really.
Yeah, it was just a sudden thing. Now, is he getting trained while this is going on? I mean,
he's already, you know, he to be on Atlanta TV, even do jobs underneath, you had to be trained.
Right.
They just didn't throw nobody in the ring.
No, right. But I mean, when you know you're going to be working not just the Saturday mornings, but now you're going to be working 7 nights a week, Do you get any additional training? Do they
He
need-
had everybody help him every day.
Everybody help you. Okay.
Yeah, man. He's fixed to get a
We all helped each other.
God, look what he went through there. Big boss man, and gosh. And Ray was a good friend of mine. I loved Ray. Magnum, Magnum. And I like Magnum. I don't know how far Magnum would have went with getting hurt, but he had his limits too.
Mm.
And he did. He had his limits. They were thinking about him being.
Yes.
They were setting that path for him.
I'll talk about Bob Geigel for a minute, who comes across on television as a fountain of charisma. How's he behind the scenes? Hard ass?
I was all right. I mean, now you're sitting here with that mountain of charisma.
Yeah.
Flip
Flops, bare feet.
I mean, Mr. Personality. You ever talk to Bob Geigel? Hi, Bob. Hi. Call you on the phone. Look here, Bob, call you on the phone. Hey, Ricky, Bob Geigel. Yes, sir. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Bob, you called us.
Well, I'm still waiting, though. We were talking earlier about the talk. Arn Anderson was a great interviewer. When Arn Anderson approached the Four Horsemen, here Ric Flair, here's Ole Anderson, himself, and Tully. That was a big force in our business. God, they was the top heels that we had in the territory. Dude, and they were just instantly, boom.
Out of them four, you could put any two of them four together in great matches.
Right.
Yes, but the talk.
They on top.
Their charisma on that microphone and the way they held themselves. God, here's Ric Flair, no telling what he's going to say, but the greatest shit in the world. And Arn really educated. Then Tully and them, and then
JJ.
And JJ.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, man.
Right.
It just clicked like anything else did.
We talked about the Ricky Morton cell before, but tell us about Dusty's ability to generate sympathy from the crowd and get them behind them. He was always pretty strong on the cell, also. Would you not say?
Dusty was a great worker.
Great worker, yeah.
Great
Talker.
interviewer that you could ever imagine. But you look at all your top baby faces in the world, even Hulk Hogan, what got him over?
What got Hogan over?
What got him over?
The comeback.
Yes. So what they had to do to do a comeback?
You gotta sell first.
You had to sell. Okay. That's what it was. Okay. That's it. If you could sell.
And then they were both good on the mic.
Yeah. And Dusty Sale make that comeback with that bionic elbow. Here goes the roof.
What was the best, I asked you before, the best incarnation of the Midnight Express? What about the Four Horsemen? What was the best incarnation of the Four Horsemen? You could probably make an argument for
Well, you talking
most
about
of
with
them.
all of them together?
Which crew was the best? Was it the original?
It's always the original. Like that's me. Don't get me wrong. Barry Windham, absolutely wonderful. And he got put in the Hall of Fame with them as the Four Horsemen. And in which they were great. But when you had the thing with Ole, and Ole, especially matches if
All in Arn.
and if you go back and just look at some of the top boys in the business, when I heard Steve Austin not long ago doing an interview, and they asked him, he goes, is there a favorite match? And they was talking about him that you like. He said, yes, I got a favorite match. He said, it's the Rock and Roll Express against Ole and Arn Anderson. He says, the greatest match in the world. He said, I watch it at least once a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But see, because it was that chemistry that the first Four Horsemen, after that you had 17,
You even had Paul Roma.
Yeah, sure did. I'm glad Wahoo.
Thank God he was on our side.
I love Ed McDaniels. Great. I seen him, boy. But no, a lot of people, but see, Wahoo could work. You understand me? And our business was different then. It was sometimes, and people did it. He chopped them very hard. But now, nowadays if you go out and watch the match, it seems like every match somebody's got to chop somebody hard before they go woo, just to get a pop.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you ever see a pop of somebody trying to tell a story in a match? And and even though I know Motor and Robert and I are too, but we still go to the ring. We still can perform, and we can still get the people behind us. And I never thought of chop in my life, but that was about Wahoo though. Wahoo's hands were this thick, and boom. That was his gimmick. In our day, Ric Flair and Wahoo were the only two that chopped. Nobody else did. And that's what made the chop get over so good. Ricky Steamboat chopped.
Sure.
But Ricky done.
That was later on, though, too.
But Ricky done went to WWE. But understand me, I wrestled Rick a million times. I never chopped him back. I never chopped him back. That was his thing. And I'm just saying that to nowadays. So you just stop and watch the matches. I didn't watch tonight, but I know they set the indoor record for chops. It just happens every time you go to one.
Let's take the look-alike contest. Did they find children that looked like you?
Oh, yes, they did.
Actually had two kids that won it, and we all went to a limousine, picked them up, and went to Carowinds amusement park.
Right.
And we started walking down the aisle, and they put us on the roller coaster.
Uh-huh.
And the roller coaster took off, and about 5 seconds, 10 seconds into it stops. Here comes security. They said, rock and roll, y'all have got to leave the park.
Yeah.
Because the crowd?
Everybody in this park is at the exit and the entrance.
Yes.
Said, y'all have closed down the park.
Yeah, and they couldn't do nothing.
Y'all
But we got to go back when they closed the park down.
Oh, they gave you a private...
Yes,
oh,
they
that's
go back
cool.
with the kids. But they did, it actually really happened. And you know what? And the two kids, the mother and
We
daddy
just
used
saw
to
them.
bring them, and I just seen them not long ago.
They're grown.
Now they've grown up and they got little kids, and they still had the pictures, and I hung them up in my wrestling school. They gave to me them when they're little and now when they're big, and it's unbelievable, man.
That's great. Now, please tell me you remember remember the dream date, and please tell me there's a good story there.
Well, it was a good story, but understand me, most of them were underage. We had chaperones.
The women?
Yes,
too?
they were.
Bill Apter was a chaperone.
Bill Apter and Doug Edwards was the
Doug
chaperone.
You are totally safe if Bill Apter's on the date, because there's no way for a cock to get hard if Bill Apter is in your line of vision in any way. I will go on record and say that immediately. So a fine choice by Jimmy Crockett to
But you
send
know
Bill.
what? But it
out
was
there.
really cool because that's when we took the private jet. They picked us up. We flew to each girl's hometown. Picked them up. We flew into New York. We stayed at the Hensley Palace. But don't get, we had chaperones, and we went to the Broadway show to see Cats. Went out and had a great dinner at a Hawaiian place or something, I believe. But you understand me, it's it was no hanky panky because, brother, I mean,
All right, so they were underage, so
we're
obviously nothing.
we're on national TV and
Right.
everything, and and it wasn't even like that. We had fun. You know what? We actually had a good time.
Now, you must have gotten submissions that were sent in from people who didn't win with some interesting photos, I would imagine.
But we got some good stuff.
I imagine. This is the 80s.
Yeah, but see-
the full bush was in
but
in
Jackie
style.
would keep all of them.
One lady actually wrote in. She says, "I'm a nurse. And I want to give them the claps. I can cure them."
Yeah, sure did. Said I want to give them the clap for I can
So I can cure them.
for I can hear them. That's something. You know.
Hey, I'm glad they didn't pick her.
Hey, dude, it stacks the mail.
Who kept the phone numbers from those girls?
I don't know.
Baron von Raschke, maybe?
Jackie Crockett used to come back and go, look at this one here. Look at this one. Read this letter.
They would come in bundles of just letters.
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot. But it was really a legit thing. It worked out good. We had fun, man.
They picked them out.
But it's what we did.
Craziest rat story from your run.
Whoa.
Let's hear it.
I'm gonna let Robert tell that one.
I'd say coming from Greenville one night, every time we leave the arena, these girls, they would line up and
They would jockey for position.
yeah, I'm
behind
talking like 50 cars.
us. And that's not exaggerating.
Oh, to follow your car. Oh,
We left, they was already lined up, they'd follow us. And we're going down, we left Greenville, me and Ricky, like I said, they'd jockey for positions. Finally, this one girl, it's on our butt so quick, we act like we're gonna get off the exit at the rest area.
No, we're gonna get pulled in the rest
Like
area.
rest area. And so Ricky makes a turn in. When he does, Ricky turns back out, and they were already committed, so they had to go through the rest area. And we're doing about 90 mile an hour out here. They're going through the rest area at 90 mile an hour.
Look here, and come out right with
Right
us.
beside us. And me
Right
and
with
Ricky's going, we're waiting to see a big crash. You know, somebody back out.
Yeah.
Thank God nobody backed out. They didn't hit anybody, but they got to the other end. And Ricky done stopped the car, got out, and he kicked the shit out of that car.
Did you ever have to get out of the arena in a different car or hide or somehow like?
Like Greensboro Coliseum, and this is how Robert just bought a brand new Trans Am,
Yeah.
and we pulled up in Robert's Trans Am, and I'm serious, dude. That's before they put the fences and stuff up. We were literally, they rushed the car
Yeah.
into people faces or like this
Yeah,
on the
I had a
window
brand new 88
because
Trans Am.
they're backed up.
They were pressing
You know,
against the
up
car.
against, we were literally stuck in the car for 45 minutes.
Right.
And
I
they were
blew the
shaking
horn,
it, backing
screaming,
it
"Get the
forward,
hell off the car."
and
Brand new
shaking it
Trans
back
Am.
and forth. And finally, they had to get the police out there.
45 minutes later.
You know, get the police, get them back, get out of the car, Robert's car, like they took a goddamn sledgehammer to it, and all beat up.
45 minutes later, we got
but you
out.
know, and then we're going. But I know where you're going on this question. Bullshit.
I didn't even get there.
I know where you're going on this question here, but you know, it's a lot of things I tell people,
Happily married.
and half of them, when I tell them, they go, "Oh, that's bullshit." Okay, so don't ask me no more to tell you a story. All right.
I would believe
So,
anything you told
but
me about
understand
that
me.
era.
Now this
Just
is
the two of you.
But you got to understand that was just one night. You hear me?
What?
That was just one night.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but when it comes to that, man, we seen some crazy shit.
Yeah, you think I was going to ask you about, the wild orgies in the hotels, but actually, I want to talk about the dark side of that fame
Okay.
and popularity, which is where you went with that, what could have been a 50-car pileup on a highway that a baby could have been in, or
Oh, I seen one do that. One of 'em hit
destroying
bridge
a
one
car because they're climbing on a brand new car.
Yes.
Or you must have had some bizarre shit sent to you in the mail, or weird phone calls, or people stalking you at home and shit.
We'd actually had to have a cop out in Charlotte at his house and my house.
Right.
The cops actually parked out in the front yard to keep people away.
Did that. I was at my house at Indian Trail,
It's still
and
full of
it's
bats.
just women that try to do that right there, and I'm laying here in bed, and all of a sudden my wife come in here, and she said, "Hey, there's a girl at the door." She says that you been seeing her, that you seen her, and what the fuck? And I wake up and I'm going. I walk in there and I look out the door and it's great big girl, and my wife says, she said, "You've been seeing," and I looked at my wife. I says, "Let me ask you something, honey. If you was me, would you fuck her?" My wife beat the piss out of her. She said, "Hell no." She beat the piss out of her. I went back, got in bed, went to sleep, and she never mentioned nothing to me more about it. Can you believe that? Yeah, I stole that line from somebody, but it worked at the greatest time in my life when it happened.
Did you get any bizarre items as gifts from time to time?
Dude, we got all kinds of stuff, man. When at Christmas time in Charlotte, North Carolina, dude, look here, you had to drive a truck. People brought us, but they bring us good stuff sometimes.
Okay.
They Rock and Roll Express clocks. They bring you bandanas, coats, actually watches, earrings. I wore earrings. They gave me earrings, clothes. And that wasn't only on Christmas. They did a lot, and and I had a
Teddy bears. We
bunch of
must
drawings.
give teddy bears away.
Oh yeah, you get them all the time.
8 balls?
No.
No. That was only the rock stars that used to get the little baggies thrown on the stage?
Oh well, no, we got a lot of that free too.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was great because you had not only you had wrestling, you had Dave Allen Cole, you
Right.
had Georgia Jones, you had Waylon Jennings on a couple of them, and basically that was their first, I think, to see really if they could compete with Vince, especially on their outside shows. I think somewhere around there is where they drew, where Vince and them sold out that Pontiac.
The Silver Dome.
Silver Dome.
93,173.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was. I don't know. But I don't know if it's the time they was trying to compete with that, or compete, but they was trying to get their stadium shows to be big. And it was a success. But
Talk to me from a worker standpoint about working a giant outdoor stadium versus an arena. Just like with the acoustics and the feeling the heat from the crowd. There's got to be a big difference working outside in a stadium.
Well,
Or maybe not. Maybe, what the hell do I know? Maybe there isn't.
Well, no, not really. There's
No, I
not.
think so, not really either.
Okay.
I mean, you got the acoustics with the people screaming, but the people screaming outside. To me, there wasn't.
Okay.
Nowadays, it might be, because nowadays it's.
It's weird in this business. Once you come through that door and that music's playing, you step out, you forget about everything.
Yes.
You go into a zone.
Yeah, you do, really.
You actually go into a zone.
And to me, it don't matter if you're outside or inside. Jimmy's 180 years old, and he's still wrestling. No, he's not. But Jimmy still does what he does. It's in our business. It's what these young kids need to learn. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Jimmy's the best in the world at doing that. I told somebody not long ago, George South or somebody, I said, Jimmy Valiant is the smartest son of a bitch I ever met in my life. And the reason why, because he's not hurt. He still wrestles every night, But when Jimmy went to the ring, dude, like you said earlier, the charisma, how they follow them,
Yeah.
is dancing and prancing. And
Shaska gets shaved bald here. You get a little extra money when that goes down, or?
oh yeah, don't get me wrong, not a big buzz, but he probably got a couple $100 more on his payoff. Oh man, it's the greatest experience ever, buddy. To have an opportunity to even wrestling a Rick. To me, Rick is the real world heavyweight champion. And that's one thing about wrestling, Rick. Even if you didn't go an hour, you still went 56 minutes. Because when you paid to see Ric Flair, you got your money's worth. And he doesn't care who you were. I mean, you just had to be in shape to wrestling. But I learned a lot. You learn how, this is an experience of doing matches like that, knowing that you put yourself in a position that you could. And see, that's what I was talking about earlier about another person. To get yourself in a position that you can carry that belt. Not everybody can do that. And I was talking about that earlier, but it gave me the experience for now that I can look back and teach kids what to do, how to get ready for that, how to keep going instead of just having you a 6-week run, you're having a lifetime run.
Every time he chop you, fire shoot out your ass. You know what I'm saying? Flair, I watched it back a bunch of times, and it was a pleasure to work with him.
Some people complain about the repetition of his moves. Like, you're going to get the over-the-top bump, come around, clothesline, boom, boom. Did you think that was a problem from a believability standpoint, or is it kind of like, you need to hear Kiss play rock and roll all night, every night before the show's over?
You need to hear kids play rock and roll.
Okay. Did it feel weird headlining a show without Ricky?
No,
Done it before.
we're brothers anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're done it before, buddy.
We're brothers.
Now, while he's in the spotlight of the main event, and Flair, I'm sure you're happy for him, but you're in a pole match with Baron von Raschke. What's that like? Conflict of styles, I would say, certainly, if nothing else.
But you know what but I have remembered matches with Baron. They were actually good. I mean, you see, when you're a good baby face, and when you're a good worker, you go out and watch all the guys work. You see how their style is. You know, I'm not going to go out there with Baron von Raschke and hit him with a Hurricane Corona. You understand me? And I'm not going to ask him to do that. But you see, I could sell that claw.
Right.
But, you know, I can make a little comeback and break loose from the claw, spin back around, he grab me again, and you can go all night doing that.
Right.
But, you know, I imagine, I don't remember, but going up the pole match, and we must have had a hell of a match because I always enjoyed wrestling Baron. You know, good guy. He's a funny son of a gun.
He really is. These are really classic tag team matches because it's two great tag teams. It's not two random guys thrown together to further a feud. Masters of tag team psychology working together, you and the Andersons. So, having said that, please give me a 101 course on tag team psychology.
Okay, tag teams. Well, one thing it is, you got to know that you got to understand that when you're a tag team, you're not just one individual in the ring. You have a partner. Now I watch, you know, and I hear this shit all the time. Oh, tag team wrestling's dead. No, it's not. You don't know how to do it. Okay, and that's the main thing around it. You know, first
It's
of all,
funny you say that. Ron Simmons the other day, one of the wrestlers came back, one of the new guys. He said, "Ron, the people ain't with it." Ron says, "It wasn't the people."
yeah,
other words,
it wasn't the people.
Yeah, it wasn't the people. You didn't do your job.
Yeah, but it's knowing.
Bob.
And this is what I was saying earlier. You know, when you work with a tag team, mostly they work with you too. They know what things you do and what you don't do. We do, but you noticed every time that Robert and I, if I'm not selling, that when I tag him, we always go into something double team. And then when they're getting the heat, we didn't put the heat on the referee, we put the heat on the wrestlers. I'd come in and get the referee's attention. See, nowadays, they just come in the ring and cheat, right? They don't give a shit if the referee's standing there or not. They see they're not putting heat on themselves, they're putting heat on that. And then when the match is over, they got to do a 5-minute interview and kill themselves off again. You see, it's the concept, you know, man, if a heel beats you, and if he just gets out of the ring and thank God I screwed him and won.
And get out of there.
You get out of there. That's where you keep your heat. It's the concept of knowing what your partner, you know, Robert and I worked together so long, we could, you know, we knew what each other was going to do before we even done it. And it was the same with like Ole and Arn and them. When we went out there, after you go a couple hour Broadways, dude, you know, you got it down to pat. But see, I would never do nothing in the ring to put the heat on the referee. That's the main thing today in our business today. Quit putting the heat on the referee, put the heat on yourself and learn how to keep the heat, and then you have a lot better match.
What went into you? I want to talk about selling and comebacks, a basic concept of tag matches. First of all, what went into your selling that was so compelling? What are the little things you did that other people may overlook or not think to do when selling?
Well, I didn't sell like a fish out of water.
So what happened to him? What?
You know, understand me, I didn't oversell. You know, I didn't lay there and flop. You know, for instance, I would make the heel understand me. If you watch, and here we go, but nowadays you watch a match and a heel will hit the guy 74 damn times. Well, see, I can just do it with one punch. Hit me one punch and I can sell it to you. Come back and get me. Go to the concession stand, get a Coke, hot dog, come back, I'll still be there. Because I'm not worried about it. Nowadays, these guys are not worried about it. And see, that's what got it for it. And then you gotta learn that magic. See, when you learn that magic, do you understand what I'm talking about, that magic?
Well, but you also, your magic, I think, my humble opinion, You never hid your face.
What's that?
You never hid your face.
Well, the people's got experience.
Anyone can grab their fucking leg and fall
I made
down,
some faces
but
too,
you
can I?
gave the audience your face. More so than the leg or the arm, whatever. What you were giving them was your face.
Yeah, they have to see my pain.
Right.
And I reach out to them to give them. But see, and then you had to work it to the greatest time spot ever. And you had to work it to both heels were in the ring. One heel's down, he tags the other one. Then that's when I would tag Robert. See, because both heels
When you
are in
have the
there.
time because the other ones.
Boom. When Robert come in, see, they're standing in the middle of the ring, feeding him. God, I watch hot tags today. Hell, one heel will be over here by the floor, the other, and you're trying to do a hot tag. They don't feed in. Oh, I'm screaming. I seen somebody at my wrestling school. I had a show. Man, I went back there and I said, dude. He said, I'm just gonna do a one-man feed on the comeback. And I'm telling him, I said, what's that sign say out front? Nobody say school. Why did you do it my damn way? I said, it sucked. It was horrible.
When do you know it's time to make the comeback? Is it listening to the crowd?
Yes.
You got to feel them.
Yeah, you sure do. Listen to you on TV and you go out and you got a time limit.
You got to feel them.
I never asked a promoter. I never say when. When I go out, I know when to go home. Don't tell me to go 10 minutes. Or don't tell me to go 20 minutes. Or don't tell me to go 30 minutes.
You might not feel them in 10 minutes. It might take 12. You might take 8.
Right. But you definitely know. It's a definitely obvious thing to you that it's time.
And that's not a gimme. I mean, you got to learn that.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
That's part of learning the magic.
Yeah, you got to learn the magic.
You also can't teach that. I know you go to school and you're probably a great teacher.
Well,
but that's an intrinsic thing. That's a feeling thing.
That's a great point.
You can give me a guitar, but I'm not going to play it like Hendrix.
Yes, okay, and that's a great
in the
point that you just said right there. Because my daddy, when I broke the business, my dad said, I can teach you how to arm drag, and I can teach you how to hip toss and how to make a comeback. He says, but what I'm trying to tell you right now is listening to the people and learning how to work. I'm better off talking that wall because you don't have a damn clue what I'm saying to you. But he said, one day I promise you, just like that, it hit you.
It's going to snap.
And by God, it did. Does the same thing. Well, I was telling you earlier, Dusty won the belt. Now Dusty ain't got nobody to work with. Okay, nobody's going to buy a ticket to watch Dusty Rhodes beat somebody else. Dusty Rhodes has got to chase the belt. Right? You understand me? It's always like that. I knew. It's like right now, even me, like winning a belt. Since me and Robert's going to come back, we only win the belts for the first show. Then we come back and drop them. See, because you can't drop money. Right. You got to get them people pissed off to want you to buy. But another thing I don't know, was that his third time to win the belt?
Yeah.
I don't know Dusty Rhodes. I'm 17 times heavyweight champion.
What'd you think of Flair's 1980s run as NWA World Champion? How does it stack up to the Thezes and Races and Briscoes? You said the sentence before, he is my world champion.
Yes, Rick. I mean, I've been doing it for 40 years. I've seen a different, has the wrestling business changed? Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess in Lou Thez era, that's the way you wrestled then. He filled those boots. He did. Went on to, but that's your boy Buddy Roberts, and then everything changes. Everything got better. They went to Harley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jack Briscoe.
Yeah, but see, then it came. But
Flair had the most charisma.
It's a whole different era. The business is changing.
Right.
And boy, was the Nature Boy in the right place at the right time.
Right, because Thez, what Rick did at that time with cable TV and television becoming so much more important, Thez, that wouldn't have been his time for it. And likewise, it wouldn't have been Rick's back in the 40s.
Because, the TV wasn't so much recognized back then.
We talked about Buddy with Magnum, who covered the year 85 with us on this show. He said that Landell had tremendous potential, but Buddy was Buddy's own worst enemy, and that's what limited him. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, sort of. Buddy was his own worst enemy, but Buddy was Buddy. That was Buddy Landell, so you had to learn to do it. Buddy was a lot better worker than he got credit to be. To me, he was. You could say a lot. Buddy was another one that was ahead of his time. He great interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't want to challenge him in a verbal fight on TV.
But a bad attitude that politically made him unbookable.
But Buddy didn't make good decisions.
Right.
You hear me? Buddy was, what he didn't keep it a secret. He didn't give a shit who known it. So that was Buddy's fault. Yeah.
Right. How about Bill? How about Dundee?
The superstar. I love Bill Dundee. Bill Dundee come in as later on in his career. He was managing, wasn't he? At the time, was Bill wrestling or managing?
He was doing both because here he's just with Buddy Landell.
Okay, but see what I'm trying to say is Bill was.
He tried to keep Buddy straight, but he couldn't.
Yeah. No.
Oh, so you're saying outside the ring he was.
That's probably why they had Bill.
Probably why they had Bill there to keep him straight.
Yeah, to keep him straight. But Bill Dundee, himself, he's a great mind. Bill's one that really made Robert our first run in Louisiana. He was the booker there. We did everything, and then Bill come back and hell, he hadn't worked, I guess, in 4 or 5 years, you know what I'm saying, because he booked. But that was probably the reason Bill Dundee was there, was to keep Buddy out of trouble.
Because this is Buddy actually coming back after having been fired in '85 when they had enough of him. So maybe this was a listen, you can come back, but you got to stay with.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
With Bill.
Okay.
Is there ever a wrestling marriage that works? A shoot wrestling marriage that works?
Tommy Riches, he's still married.
No, but not to another worker.
Oh, to a worker.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
I
worker.
can't think of one. Can you?
No.
I can't think of one.
Yeah, Miss Linda and
Yeah, but they've been
Agent
married
Street.
before too, Robert. They.
Jimmy Garvin and Precious.
Yes, they've been together.
Oh, that's
for-
true. Yeah.
Didn't think. We was just talking about them. I don't know.
Me and Ricky.
Yeah, we've been married in this business.
You're talking about Dick Murdoch.
I am, yeah.
Dusty had the A team and the B team. We were the B team. So Dick got put on the.
team.
Dusty's going to show Dick, hey, I'll put you on the B team.
Yeah.
Well, about 2-3 months later, Dusty said, hey, Dick, he said, you ready to come back to the A team? He goes, are you fucking crazy? He said, I'm staying on the rock and roll, make more money with these guys.
Yeah, they make more money.
Boy, Dusty got pissed off again.
Coming in, he's a baby face.
And
Is that but is that ever a role for Dick? Aren't some guys just born heels?
I guess, but I don't know. I can't remember him coming
Dick
in.
was-
Or born baby faces?
Well,
Like
who was he working with? Because Dickie, and understand me, I don't know when he come in, but Dick Murdoch was one of the ones that got me over to wrestle Flair, so I don't know their dates.
well, this August 2nd he comes back and wrestles Bill Mulkey, for God's sakes.
he came out at 6-man tag with us too.
Yes, he did, but see, before, when I did my run with Flair, which Dusty brought people in to get me over, Dick Murdoch was one of them. Abdullah the Butcher was one of them. I wrestled him in single matches
Right.
and everything. And that was good, but see, because you got to understand, they knew I was going to have a good run. And this is what the boys take care of, they don't do much. I'm wrestling Dick Murdoch, and I'm getting ready to wrestle Flair, and he's talking to me. That's where I told you, about big Dick Murdoch. I said, no, they can't do that. They'll sue me for false advertisement. But having great matches, because I never forget this. His finish was a brain buster. And getting the heat on me, and I'm making a little comeback. And then he stops me out, and he says, I'm going to give you the brain buster, my finish. And when he gave it to me, bam, I went down, he covered me, he goes, kick out on one. You understand me? And people thought the match was over. I kicked out on one, and the roof come off the building. Yeah. Then I got up and beat him. Same thing with Abdullah the Butcher. You know, I'm wrestling Abdul Butcher, and I'm selling. I make a little comeback. I move out of the turnbuckle, and he turned around, and I suplexed him. But see, every time I did this, when Dick Murdoch told me to kick out on one, he says, "You're gonna make me a lot of money with Flair." You understand me?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Same thing. Same thing with Dennis Connery and Bobby Eaton. Robert and I will wrestle them in a tag match in Charlotte, and they said same thing. Dennis, they set it up with a rocket launcher. He said, Bobby's going to give you the rocket launcher off the top, kick out on one. He said, we got to get you ready for Flair.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Business. It was business.
That was all small towns. We sold out all of
That
them.
was Dusty's. You know, he was a booker. Understand me, now we had the bus.
Right, I was gonna ask you
and
about
all
the
the
tour
girls,
bus.
all the girls that won on the girls that, you know, they picked a bunch of them to go with us. They all rode on the tour bus with us. Great thing, real fun. We wrestled small towns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something when you pull into Florence, South Carolina, and you know they normally draw 500 or 600 people, and you pull into the football stadium, and with the Rock and Roll Express on the side of the bus, and this fucking football stadium is sold out. And I'm talking the ground too, both sides. It was like that every time. I mean, you talking about electricity. That's Mr. Electricity. God almighty.
Talk about the pay here. Is this like bonuses on top of what you normally would draw?
No, we got paid, but it's not like what you think it was. I mean, back then, if you got paid $1,000, boy, you thought you was rich.
Even though just the marquee of Rock and Roll Express Summer Tour drew that city, you weren't given a larger share? Wow.
No, we should have. You know, actually, we should have made probably $15,000 a piece.
Look at the house.
I'm serious, and it was like that every morning. Oh yeah. Then that's even that, you know.
What about the live performance aspect of it?
Of what?
Playing.
Playing music?
Yeah.
Oh, I was horrible. You know, I did the boogie woogie dance, all that son bitch went plywood. You know, you know what? I play a little music, but you know what? It was we had a good band behind us that covered us up. That was Dusty shit. You know.
On August 10th in
You would have to say that,
Asheville.
wouldn't you?
What's that?
You would have to say that, wouldn't you?
Dusty.
But this is another thing that you don't understand now that came off of this. You know, they did the rock and roll package that you could order. When you got the life-size poster, you got the 45, the fan club stuff.
Newsletter.
Okay, now but you got
And for that, you were paid a fortune, I bet.
But see, you got to understand me. Even that little boogie woogie dance hall record that was so horrible it went gold. It sold 1 million copies. Now I want you to tell me something. That's 1995.
86.
No,
1995.
Oh, later. Oh, you're talking about later on when they put this on
Okay,
sale.
no. Yeah,
No,
but
for
it
the
sold.
fan club.
It sold for 1995. They sold over 1 million.
Oh, the
of them.
price. Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's $19 million right there,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well,
You were given at least half of that, obviously.
Oh yeah. I tell you what, we got nothing for it. And when they filed bankruptcy, Robert and I sued them. You understand me? But they went bankrupt. Now, we got what, 3 cents to $1?
Yeah.
We got 3 cents to $1, and we still got over $12,000. So how much money did they make?
How is she chosen? Are you in on the selection? Is it random? Is it someone's girlfriend?
No, she was legit chosen.
She was a legit show. You know what? We basically got the fans to do it. We had them all out there. You know, door number 1, door number 2. You know, the bigger pot. That's all. You know, bless all of us heart. You know, and when you put in the position that you got to pick a winner, you're never a winner. Oh, you get more heat on you and everything. My daughter should have won. My daughter was. I don't
Should have
know.
won.
You know, Gene Simmons of Kiss would often talk about when he was on stage and he would scout the crowd, he had codes that he would give to the roadies as to, like, third row, second seat, whatever, to pull a girl and bring her back. When you guys were in the ring, did you ever spot from the ring women in the crowd that you wanted introduced to you later on?
Well, I spotted them, but I didn't have to have nobody do that for me. I just went out there and, hey, come here.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, sure did. Gene Simmons ain't got shit on me either.
Well, what's your number if you had to put a number out there?
I can't. Oh, man. Too many people might see this.
Well, do you think anybody that you know thinks you didn't get pussy?
Dude, I mean, I can't. I couldn't name that. I don't know what to tell you.
You wouldn't even know, right?
You know, I was drunk the other night.
Most at one time.
This girl walked up to me. I mean, I was sitting there. You know, I had me a few drinks, and this girl sitting there, and we're talking. You know, I'm loaded. I said, "What's your name?" She goes, "You won't remember." And I went, "Did I fuck you before?"
She said you didn't remember.
You know? Hey, buddy, they come up all the time too. God damn. You know, this is 35 years later. Remember me? Oh shit! Please tell me I didn't.
You had to earn their respect in Philly.
Interesting. Okay.
They were a heel crowd, buddy, and very, very heel crowd. Especially when I wrestled Ric Flair there. That's when was that you we was talking to earlier? About when I was wrestling Rick, we supposed to win an hour, but about 20 minutes in the match, the crowd done pushed, but Rick done turned them, because they was for Rick, but Rick done turned them. They done pushed the whole barricades up to the ring, both sides, and they was right here, and Arn Anderson had to come down to help. Then I seen Robert come down, and finally Rick just grabbed me, threw me over the top rope. He says, "We got to get out of here. We're gonna get fucking killed." And we did. Yeah, sure did.
Do you know if there was a reason behind the switch back to you, or is it just time to do it?
Switch what now?
The belts. From midnight back to you.
No, because we had to drop them to somebody else. They wanted us to drop them to Tully and Arn. That was it. They put them on us. We won 2 out of 3 falls. And here in a minute, you're going to ask me about the match. Here in a second.
I am. Go ahead.
All right. And we just go on through it. That's what it's all about. It's but Dusty didn't really try to kill us. I mean, but that's what we got to do. We got to get the world tags off. They want to put them on the 4 horsemen for them to carry them, but they got to go into an angle with somebody else because Bobby Eaton come out on that TV show when we dropped the belts on our way to the ring, hit me in the shoulder with a chair, but we had to defend the belt, so Robert had to wrestle by himself.
Yeah, Tully and Arn.
And then I was in the back, and I came out with a, Spirit of '76, Johnny come marching home with the band. Oh man, I can't. And Robert won't tag me, won't let me in. Finally, I tagged Robert, and then they come in and. But see, that was smart.
I threw the towel in on you.
Yes, you did, because I wouldn't give up. Robert threw the towel in.
Oh, right.
Yes, sure was. So that's the reason. But that was a good finish. That way they didn't kill us off. He was greener now, shit. Stiff. You ever talk to Nikita? You ever meet him?
Sure.
Asked him a story one time. I first worked with him. We're at a tag match, and I lock up with him, and he headbutts me in my head, and I step back and went, Damn, that's an accident. Damn, it hurt. And I go to lock up with him again. Bam, he headbutts me again. But see, when you work and you know our business, you always keep your head up. So, bam, he headbutted me again. I walked over to Robert. I said, "Robert." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Pull this big motherfucker off me." I went to lock up with him, boy, and that elbow, it hit him right here and split his eye open, blood coming down. But when I went to lock up with him again, that head was
no
back.
headbutt.
Oh, yes. That's true. Ask Nikita that. You tell you, man.
Magnum loses here. Do you think his losing the best of 7 series to the Russian hurt his momentum that they were building for him?
You know, I think they were trying to build Nikita because I think they were fixing to turn him babyface. Actually, with
Yeah, I
Ivan.
think that's what it was.
Well, but you know, they had to pay for them jets some way because they sure wasn't giving us.
Now, there was probably, I would go to say, no partying after the final match of the night.
Well, we lived in
because you
Charlotte.
were exhausted.
We all lived in Charlotte.
So you went to Bennigan's.
No, went home.
You went home. Okay.
Went home to my wife that night. Bennigan's. You must have heard stories about Bennigan's.
Yeah. September 1986.
I was coming home one night. Me and Wahoo, we'd been up flying. And Wahoo been on a bench for about 3 days, and he come off that son of a bitch, and he was hungry. And they just come out with a new thing, the El Rancho Nachos at Bennigan's. Now he's telling me the whole time, God damn, I can't wait. Get to Bennigan's and get me some El Rancho. Dusty Rhodes was there and somebody else. So boom, I jump in the car, I'm riding with Wahoo, boom, we're doing 90 miles an hour. We driving to Bennigan's. We get to Bennigan's and this place is absolutely packed. They ain't nowhere to go, so we're standing over by the Pac-Man machine. We're there, we've been there drinking all night, and Wahoo orders his El Rancho Nachos, right? They come. They're good and hot, and the lady lays them down on the thing. And as soon as they lay it down, this girl picks them up and puts them over here and puts a quarter in the machine. Wahoo looks at her, he grabs them out and puts them back there. The girl grabs them and takes them off, right? So Wahoo said, oh, since you want them so bad, you could have them. He takes it and mars it all over her face and all over her dress, right? The cook in the back, I guess, seen it.
His girlfriend?
I don't know. He come running out and on these big mop handles. He come running up and hit Wahoo and packed him a head with that son of a bitch. And Wahoo turned around and went, it's just like Big Bubba Rogers. Hit him across the head. He turned around and went, "Why, you son of a bitch." He chased this son of a bitch back into the kitchen. Oh, I went, oh, shit, we're all going to jail. And I run back in the kitchen, and Wahoo's got this son of a bitch's head up on the water, drowned in him. I'm going, I'll kill you, you motherfucker. Look here, man. I pull Wahoo back and said, God damn, Wahoo. Next thing I know, there was 40 cops in that son of a bitch, man. They took Wahoo to jail. Took that girl to jail, too.
Poor bastard never got to have his nachos.
Fuck no, he never got to eat them.
That's the tragedy.
Never
of
got
the
his El Rancho nachos.
Do you remember Flair talking about Luger after working with him in Florida as somebody who should be brought in?
No, he discussed that with Dusty, I would imagine. But I knew that he was coming in because when he come in, matter of fact, his first match, he wrestled Robert and I with the Four Horsemen, didn't he?
Yeah, Raleigh.
In Raleigh, because we was in Raleigh last week, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we hadn't been in the Dorton Arena since 1986. And Lex was there, and he told me, he says, when I first came into the territory, this is my first night in this arena, and he said, I always heard about y'all, and they put me in the ring with y'all the first night. He said, God, it took a lot of pressure off of him. He said, God, y'all got me over like a son of a bitch.
What'd you think of Lex when he first came? Did you think he was a phenomenon?
He was
Certainly
different. He was a superhero, buddy.
Yeah.
And he came in. He was different. You know, he was ripped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he looked like
But limited?
What?
Ripped.
Oh, he was green.
But
he was
limited.
greener than shit too, dude.
Were you fully healed when you came back? Probably not. I would imagine that it's almost impossible to
Can't breathe or hurt.
exactly to wrestle like that. But was it just, you had to get back at I mean, you guys were hot at the time doing the.
Jim Crockett, they made a statement. Rock and roll has got to work every night. If not, we'll lose $40,000 at They don't wrestle.
Oh, you're kidding. So he pinned that guilt on you.
Oh yeah.
And you were back.
No, I don't know who took his place, Robert's place. I'm trying to think.
They would have lost $40,000 a night that they couldn't spend on fuel for the jet and flying everybody to Las Vegas for the NWA convention. That would be a shame. Now, you wrestled, Ricky, with a number of substitutes for this time. Wahoo, Ronnie Garvin, Brad Armstrong.
And Bob Armstrong. Bob Armstrong. Was
Bob,
too.
okay.
Go ahead.
Was there one that you preferred in Robert's absence?
Well, with our gimmick, Brad. Brad, he could do the same thing that we done. Wahoo was the big mean guy and everything else. But Brad, Brad was like us, our size. And
Yeah.
it could adjust to it a lot.
You could do the same stuff with him.
Yeah, sure could. I knew Rick before he come in. He's a Minneapolis boy.
Minnesota guy, yeah.
I knew he come to work for Bill Watts. He come to work for Jerry Jarrett out of there, and he come in. I mean, I don't know. When they first bring him in, I don't know what kind of plans they have for him. I know eventually they put him with Manny Fernandez. So, but I like Rick.
Rick's a guy that I don't know if he ever worked as a babyface. Again, one of these guys that's just a more natural heel.
That, and plus when they broke him into the business, they broke him in as a heel. I don't think he ever had an opportunity to work babyface.
But no one even ever turned him on.
And when you break in as a heel, it's hard to be a babyface. It is, really. It's only very few could really adjust. Yes.
Was he hot and fiery like Crockett would have needed a babyface in '86? What's going on here, for fuck's sake?
He wasn't hot and fire.
Did Jimmy smoke weed? Did Crockett smoke weed? Do you know about it?
He did that. Get him going.
Exactly.
You know what,
fiery
dude?
old bastard.
You know what, though, buddy? He was lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
And it's good. He was on his last run, I think, anyway. And it was good for him. I mean, they turned him babyface. At least he had another little run before he left. That's just thinking about an old friend. Because Barron's, you have friends in the business. Dusty probably did that to give him a little run to make him feel important.
Okay.
Instead of just feeling like underneath. Because Barron, in his heyday, he was badass too.
Right. Well, it is nice that he did that, but we do need to celebrate.
I don't know if you.
You guys are on the road. You're on the hamster wheel, as they say. You're not stopping. When this happens to a friend, and you don't have an opportunity to go to the hospital and take time off and see them or spend time with them.
We were sending him money every week out of a check.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Well, see, first of all, you have to realize we don't know what his status is. We know he's married. We know he's still got bills coming in, and we know that he's not going to be able to work. Right. We don't have checks. We don't get guaranteed money, but we didn't know. So all the boys had a percentage took out of their checks to send to him until he got better.
Who came up with this angle?
This in here?
Dusty Rhodes, could it be?
Wow.
Wait a minute, come here now.
Could it be Dusty?
You get 5 guesses, and the first 6 don't count. All right. Okay.
And my 5th guess has to be over 400 pounds. Is anyone else contributing creative ideas, or is this the Dusty Show?
No, buddy.
Dusty
It's
Show.
It's the Dusty Show.
You're overstepping your boundaries.
But even like someone like Flair.
Overstepping your.
No, I know
boundaries.
they had issues. Flair.
Him and that's the reason Steamboat left there. Him and Dusty didn't get along with them.
But now, is this a good investment for him? Are there houses that are worth running
It's like
at that point?
It's like investing your money in Preparation H. You know, it's just a fucking hemorrhoid. You know, that's all. No, it wasn't worth the fuck. It wasted a lot of money, set a lot of guys out there to starve to death.
Yeah.
They didn't draw nobody out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, like George South told me one time, I'm out there and I said, damn, George, it's sold out. He said, yeah, because you're here. He said, man, when y'all not here, you throw a hand grenade out there, it wouldn't kill nobody. You know?
How was your payday for that?
Not really good.
Even a Starcade?
Maybe 12.
One of these Starcades, paychecks, me and Ricky's driving with the referee, Tommy Young. And Tommy Young's check was bigger than ours.
Yeah, it is.
Swear to God.
His
That's
check
how
was
bad they
bigger
ripped
than
us off.
ours. And we were the main event.
For a Starcade?
Yes.
And we were the main event in Greensboro.
Yeah.
His check was bigger than ours.
It was. Tommy Young.
He wasn't ribbing you with a bullshit check or something?
No, we saw it. He was in the car with us.
In the car. His check, we got paid for the whole week, but he got paid more that week than me and Robert got paid for the week. You hear me?
And he was a referee.
And I'm not bullshitting. But you see, we're fixing to get to the thing where we pull a Houdini, we gone.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, we fuck, you know.
you mentioned...
But you know what? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
when now we go into the big gate. That's when they first did the event, closed circuit TV. This is what we're fixing to go into pay-per-view and all this shit. You know,
Right.
this is what started it all.
Is there any way to have an entertaining scaffold match? You can't really do anything. The
Well,
thing's
you
but
know,
this wide.
I thought
And,
we had some pretty good ones.
well, so, all right, so
We
tell
did.
me what's the key.
Well, we
You're
did.
always
Well-
selling the danger.
Oh yeah, you always selling the fear factor.
Right.
But understand me, me, Robert. See, he's not scared of heights. Me, I don't even get on top of my house. Fuck that. You know, people, and I'm up there holding. You see me, I'm holding on.
I'd get up here and shake and holler, "Stop it, you son of a..."
Yeah, but he jumped across it and swing off. I didn't do that shit. You hear me? I'm here at the end of one of my supposed to
Ricky
kick
come down
Big
between my
Bubba
legs.
Rogers in the nuts, stand up and kick him. Shit, I leaned over and hit him in the nuts. I didn't fuck that. You can make it exciting, but it's dangerous as hell.
You guys did scaffold matches with the Midnight Express in Mid-South
Oh, yes.
for Watts before this. Why didn't they put you in that spot? It was already tested.
Well,
They knew it would work already. You guys had experience doing it already. There wouldn't be any accidents. It would seem that you guys, plus you were feuding with them all year, it would seem like a natural spot for you.
Well, I guess
With the Midnight?
we
We did it one in Crockett's territory.
yeah we did.
The following year, okay, right.
Oh yeah, we ended up doing them.
Yeah, the following year we sure did. But the Road Warriors did it first.
Yeah.
Because we was thinking that was our shit. But it was all right. See, we were working with the Ole and Arn, and Ole ain't gonna get on no fucking scaffold. Okay, so it's a good thing to put the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express on there. And the Midnight Express were great workers, and they've been on there. They could lead Joe and White through it.
The main event of the biggest card all year, isn't it kind of a mortal sin to have your main event on a big pay-per-view to be a double DQ?
I guess. I don't know. I don't remember that match. I don't know how long they went or if there was a reason they did a double DQ, because you don't know. Nikita was green and he used to blow up quick. You hear me? So I don't know. We don't know.
The rumor was that this was Magnum's spot, that obviously because of the accident, he couldn't do that. Nikita was plugged in his place. Probably fair to say that based on
You know what,
the
that
push.
is right.
That's
buddy.
probably true, yeah.
I forgot all about that. They turned Nikita babyface because of that.
Because they lost Magnum.
Yes.
Did you like participating in these kind of battle royals?
Not really. Because did Dusty win?
Yeah.
Okay.
But outside of Dusty's participation, battle royals, we've got
I hate
2,300 pound guys.
I hate battle royals.
Right.
All right, does that answer your question?
You can't do what you guys do.
Well, and you got that, and then you have younger guys in there that don't have any concept that there's another motherfucker in the ring with you. He'll fall over, knock your knees out from under you, look here, swing around, slap you in the face. You know, just crazy shit. And I don't like them.
The B-side, do you remember the B-side of the single?
Yes, I do. Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Yes.
Sometimes you don't. And I wanted to say, sometimes I want to get a nut. Sometimes I don't. No, yeah.
It is reported that after the song comes out, some of your male fans you start falling off because this is maybe less cool than some of the. You know, they always say the key to being over with being over is that the guys want to be like you and the girls want to fuck you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the girls still did, but did the guys want to sing "Sometimes You Feel Like a Nut"? Was this the wrong thing?
It was a rib to me, I thought. You know, I don't know why Dusty did that shit for you. You know, why? But it made them a lot of money.
I'll tell you why.
But
$19 million. That's
Yeah.
why. Like we
Yeah,
added
yeah.
up before.
Well, yeah, buddy.
So it wasn't a bad business decision for the company, but image-wise.
We went to the Omni.
But our thing didn't fall off. I don't.
We went to the Omni, went to Crockett's office, he wasn't there. And there was a check and a note, 1995. He was sending people back 1995
Refunds.
refunds because they were so far backed up. Instead of saying it'd be another 2 weeks, he was sending their money back to them.
Yeah.
Because they sold out of the whole first.
But they it outbeat their expectations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just went over the board.
How do you treat these things by the magazines? Is this something you consider an honor, or is this all part of the work?
You can say anything you want to about them. To me, I cherish them. It meant a lot to me, especially as the business changed and you got more people involved. You know, it might have been a work or it might have been the thing, but I thought Robert and I were the tag team of the year. Mm-hmm. We worked hard for that. We worked hard matches and everything. But all the awards we got, even from the independent organizations, the things that they awarded as Hall of Fames, we kept every bit of that.
Yeah.
In my wrestling school, I got it all hanging on my walls, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the magazines. You know, Robert and I were on a lot of front covers of the magazines. And dude, how many covers have you been on? You understand what I'm saying now?
I don't want to brag.
Well,
so
okay,
I'm going to stay quiet.
but see, that's what's good. I mean, it's an honor to. I love that.
Well, to be whatever industry you're in, when you become the top of your industry,
Yes.
it's
And I didn't mean that to be a smart ass. I'm just trying to tell you.
Be as
You
smart
know,
as you want. If it sells DVDs, I don't
Yeah.
care what you do to me. When you look back at '86, what do you feel? Was it the height? Would you say that was the height of the rock and roll
yes, that
express
was the height
popularity?
of the Crockett territory.
But
with
what about
the-
your popularity? Was that your apex '86?
Yes.
The
it
Midnight
was.
Run, the Andersons run.
Yes, you know, because we went in '85 in July and won the belts, but it took us all the way to probably past Christmas to really get the sellout houses going. I mean, every time we went, they got bigger, but then they got to selling out, doing a lot of stuff. I look back, it was probably, you know, I mean, dude, we was rock stars and didn't know it. You know, you're in Charlotte and you drive around in front of high schools, it's Rock and Roll Express on the rocks, and it's Rock and Roll Express over here. Because you didn't have, especially in Charlotte, you didn't have the football team, you didn't have the baseball team. Mm-hmm. All you had was when you drove in about '77, there was a billboard of me and Robert Gibson saying, "Watch Mid-Atlantic Wrestling every Saturday morning at so-and-so time."
You know, you guys, every territory tried to make their own Rock and Roll Express. Some territories called
Midnight Rockers.
the Midnight Rockers, the Rockers, right, whatever. But
Yeah.
What did you have that nobody else had?
We could work.
No, you actually had great workers that tried it. Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, they did hit
Was it just the authenticity of being the first? When you're the Beatles and everyone tries to be, there's only one Beatles.
Yeah, we were the first. That was it.
Well, finally, what would a team today, on WWE television today, have to do to be today's rockers? Probably have to sing rap. They'd be the rappers. But what would a babyface team
Well, you know,
today,
they had to
on today's
start-
product?
But they have to start back off over and get them over. I mean, when they come out, don't let them dance, scream, rub their ass, and shake their dick at every son of a bitch in the fucking building. Let them go to the ring, ring the bell like me and Robert.
Work hard.
Beat them. Get them over. Let them beat somebody, not with a double team. You know, boom, they beat them 1, 2, 3. All right, then slowly build them up. See, to me, it's like a pyramid. You got to have a heel over here that's going up here. Then you got to get these baby faces over all the way up to here. And you got to make it sure. But to me, that's what I do.
You do it right.
Don't
you
have
put
the
it together,
answers.
It's going to draw money.
I don't have the answers to everything. But one thing I do is know this business. Dixie Carter, you need to call me. I swear to God, I cannot do no worse than what the fuckers you got working for you. All right, thank you. But I want to be paid.
Yeah.
I want my check.
I thank you both for sharing your
you,
time
buddy.
with us
Yeah,
and
buddy.
getting in the
Thank you.
time machine. You guys were the one in a million, the once in a lifetime.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't know what happened.
Calm
there.
down. You're in a hurry to leave me. Thank you.